Nervousness born from the earth, my madness came by storm. I heard heaven and hell, but how can I be mad? Across the table, I'll tell you the tale. I wanted for nothing from the old man, not even gold. I'll tell no lie, it was the old man's eye. A veiled pale blue eye, peering into it, my blood ran cold. And my heart is where I hold a secret plan for this old man. A descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming. You may think me mad, but how for madness knows nothing. I sit here, my mind clear, this tale I tell. Are these the sounds from hell? 7 days I crept planning, but never did the eye reveal itself till that night. A slip, a sound, awakened did he, but I could not flee. I felt his fear, that we tried to comfort and steer his dread, for he lay back in his bed. In flash I jumped on him, dragging him down. Now no more sound, he lie there, dead on the ground. Descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming. Both fear and glee swept over me. No one would ever find the body. Sometime now they came, sat chatting, but I could hear it, the heart beating. It grew louder and louder, I could no longer contain myself as I slid the chair. They still stayed there, not leaving, my anxiety rising. Could they not hear the beating heart coming from beyond the dark? No longer could I stand it, came my admittance. Here it is, the beating of his hideous heart. A descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming.
I'm manifesting through the pain. I reach for you like a fading ghost, like a vapor of smoke. You look back but didn't see me. One day you'll notice something missing, and you'll turn to look for me, and I'll be gone. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. I'm manifesting through the pain, like a whisper lost in the rain, in the with ghosts standing in the rain. My memory, your pain. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. I'm manifesting through the pain. In darkness, you'll scream my name, but no one will hear. It's just you and your fear. I'll never be near. You'll imagine me, my hands touching, my ghost dancing. Looking into my eyes, you'll see all your lies. You'll remember all the tears I cried. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me.
Pen to paper, a lost friend's letter. In darkness I travel, my eyes upon a house disheveled. Walking the halls, all the pain I see, paranoia and anxiety. Usher was telling me, paranoia rising, the house is hearing, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is
Welcome, everybody. Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner, and this is PRT. Join us in the real reality. Sorry we got in tonight at 9 o'clock, but I was out at the ranch. I had to feed the animals. And so, pray for my brother. He's really ill. He's trying to get better, but he's just, he's sick. I've gotten over the COVID, whatever, but I think his has turned into bronchitis. And let's hope it doesn't turn into pneumonia. I'm trying to be hopeful about it, but he's out there at the ranch and he's writing. And so I am hoping that he gets better. 2 days left in the month, tonight and tomorrow. Can you believe that? This month went by so fast. I mean, it just, and I tell you what, I feel like I haven't been able to catch my breath. It's been, between being sick and then having to do all the crap I've had to get, just a ton of work. Mm-mm. So let some people get in the chat here. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. I'm still here, folks. Just give me 1 second. I got to do a couple things. And then I'll bring on our... Got a couple people already wanting to jump in. Let me get my headphones in. Everything is a mess here. We've been kind of slowly packing stuff up, preparing to move. We're thinking it's probably going to be middle of this month or maybe end of this month. But we're going to be leaving this place. What's going on, man? So you're going to just call yourself Ed Gein now? Is that what we're doing?
How's it going?
And then we got True. True, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing, Josh?
Oh, good. The sound is a little weird. Let me wait until Anthony gets back in the studio.
Yeah, it is a little low right now.
Yeah, it's a little weird. He's downstairs dropping off a shirt to one of the workers. They showed up here to pick up a shirt because it's a new guy, and he's actually a friend of the family's, but he's a big dude, and he should be wearing like a 3X. And Anthony's like, "Oh no, these shirts run big," so they gave him a 2X, and it was like did not fit him. So he was having to work last night with a 2X, and it was, yeah, he was like he was stuffed into it. So I had to do that the other night. I had to wear a shirt that was a size too small, and it was scary. Let's see. The sound's not coming through in my headphones here. Let me see what I can do. I'm gonna have to mess with it. He hates when I mess with the sound. Say something, Ed Gein.
Something.
Okay, that's not working.
How's the sound? Not bad? Terrible?
Folks at home, how does it sound to you?
See,
There's
I thought you would have
my
found that a
phone.
lot funnier, to be perfectly honest with you.
Huh?
I thought you would have found the Ed Gein thing a lot funnier, but I think that one kind of fell flat.
I can't hear him through the headphones. I can only hear him through the sound right here.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mess with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I changed it whenever we were watching the game. Okay, now.
Oh yeah, last night we watched the end of the game mostly because Tony wanted to check it out, and I was like, I really don't care. And they ended up in a 40-40 tie. I'm like,
Yeah, how's that for Vegas?
yeah, you're not going to win many games if you're having
No.
to score 40 points every time. That's going to be the Cowboys' hallmark this year. Their defense is terrible. Did you bring up? Hold on 1 second, folks. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Hope everybody's doing well tonight.
Yeah. I could be better. I could be worse. I'm just,
You're not feeling well?
no, honestly, I'm not. But I'm just, I don't have time to feel bad. I can't.
Well, you soldiered up and made it tonight, bro.
Yeah, I did. I was out at the ranch all day, and I'm just tired. I'm just tired. I'm wore out, and I'm just not feeling real good. Just stressed out, and just everybody could pray for Nelly. That situation is just weighing very heavy on my heart. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it. It's really nothing they can do right now because there's some circumstances that we can't, that we have to get taken care of. And it's weighing very heavy on my mind. And there's nothing I can do. It's like a situation you can't do anything about. You're just going to have to wait. And
that adds to the stress too if you can't handle it. Like if you can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a person I love a lot more than any, buddy. And
Amen, brother.
It's hard.
Oh, Nellie's a 10 out of 10 person, man. She really is.
Yeah. And she doesn't deserve all the attacks. She's only trying to defend me. And I hate that she has to get attacked and slammed for my sake. It's just not right. It's not fair.
These people are bloody diabolical, man.
They are. Everything they do is based around us. Like, I'm flattered that they give a crap about me that much, but the slander and the lies, it really doesn't bother. Like I've said before, it doesn't really bother me, but it bothers people that I care about, and I don't want to see them hurting.
Yeah.
And I wish I could put a stop to it because I don't think that they don't deserve to be hurt. And like I said before, I'm not worth it.
Yeah, they're
And
evil, man. They're literally
yeah,
just
because I
evil.
mean, they see that we're trying to do something, good, and it doesn't come into their mind at all. If they were truly Christians, they would see how many people have said, "Hey, I've reaffirmed my faith, and I'm whatever." But they don't. That doesn't even register at all.
They're
Whatever.
working for the forces of darkness, man.
Yeah.
The demons that are controlling them literally don't want you talking about this stuff. You're exposing them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing worse than the master of darkness. Like, he's the master of darkness because he operates in darkness as well.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start exposing them, that's when you know that you're on the right track, is when all these crazy attacks start, and when they are nonstop and unceasing. And it's yeah, I can understand how terrible it is and how hard it is on the family.
Mm-hmm.
It's so unwarranted as well.
And they'll do anything to hurt us.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Anything. I mean, they'll lie, perjure. They don't care.
Yeah, it's a diabolical kind of evil, man. That I don't know. It's just sick and sad. All you can say is God bless them and hope it heaps coals on their heads. It's unfortunate. These people are what they are. What are you gonna do? Hope all the friends are doing well tonight in chat. Hope everybody's doing well. How are you doing, True? What's going on, buddy?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Ed?
Excellent. Oh, it's Dick, but it's a joke with
Oh,
from last time I was
yeah. I know.
up at the cottage. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Canada, right?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whereabouts are you?
Yeah, I'm in Virginia.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
So, True, what do you got for us tonight? You want to be the first caller? We'll go ahead and get started. What do you have? What's going on?
Oh my gosh, I got something for you. Now, I just let you know, I've been listening to your show for a long, long time,
Mm-hmm.
and I've learned a lot. You drop a lot of knowledge, and I, I got a friend. We met about 2 weeks ago, and she's told me some stories, man. I'll give you something that she gave me this morning.
Okay.
We were literally on the phone, and she was talking about her past, her ex-husband, and I told her that there was definitely a demonic attachment with him. Classic textbook demonic attachment, and she broke away from him. While she was with him, he almost killed her like numerous times. Her back has been broken in 2 places, eye socket fractured, ribs fractured.
Oh my God.
This man was completely
Yeah, she's
abusive.
lucky to be alive. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This morning we were talking. This morning, just kind of shooting the breeze, and she said, "Did you hear that?" Like, no, I didn't hear that. She said, "I heard something growling, like a deep guttural growl." This is the second time she said that. And she says that she feels like that he's whatever this entity is upset with her that she escaped, you know, and she doesn't really know what to do about it because she feels like it has found her. Okay. All I didn't know what to tell her. You know, all I could tell her was like, do everything you can, continue to pray, and build a hedge of protection around your house and your home and your little girl and yourself. But I've been talking to her and I've heard things in the background, and she gets spooked and I'm spooked because I'm hearing it in real time. This is happening. Like, I hear the stories that you present on the show, but to have somebody give me a story firsthand and then to actually witness the audio, because, live, real time, it's like, what do you do with that? And look, she has a cat. The cat even responded. I can hear the cat in the background. As this thing, vocalized, the cat responded. It freaked her out. She left the house. I mean, she went back, but she ended up leaving the house. And my only advice to her was to take every precaution that you can, constantly protect yourself. Do not cease, because whatever this thing is, it knows who you are, and it's not going to stop. And it's obvious it's not going to stop. The man that she was with him for 15 years. And those 15 years, as she told me her story, she could tell me more and more every single day. I told her, I said, he's not mentally, he doesn't have mental issues. I said, that's a demonic attachment.
Yeah.
The children, she has more children. They've seen it. They've heard it.
What does it look like?
Everybody.
You know what it looks like?
What's that?
What does the attachment look like? They've seen it.
Yeah, well, from what she said, one of her sons was walking past the bedroom one night, and he saw this man, who was her husband at the time, standing over her. Well, actually, I think he was straddled her, and there was a dark shadow over him, but there were like tentacles that were kind of embedded into his body. So it was kind of attached to him, and scared the little boy to death. I swear, she said he screamed like a little girl, which he had every right to in that moment. But they've seen that, and the man used to. She said he would stand in a corner of the room and just watch her sleep and just stand there for hours. And I said, baby, ain't nothing wrong with him mentally. That is a demonic attachment. I mean, like, absolutely a demonic attachment, because it just watched her and observed her. I say it's probably learning, it's probably just observing, taking notes. What makes you tick? What brings you up? What brings you down? Is taking notes. And she agreed to that because she said that's pretty much what he did. In her words, she said that she felt like it was trying to learn how to be human.
Well, you know what's crazy about that, and I'm going to say this, is that there have been alien abductions where the people have talked to the aliens and they've told them that that's one of their missions, is to learn how to be human.
Oh,
The parasites that's it's a universal thing. Parasitism is a universal
right.
thing. It's something that we deal with throughout the universe. Um, so even the demons themselves get parasitized. You know what I mean? It's really weird. Like if you were to look at a bed bug under a microscope, it's got bacteria that's all feeding on it, fungus, things like that. Roaches,
Wow.
they have, they carry all kinds of germs. And if you look at bacteria, they're carrying strands of virus.
Yeah.
It's everything is parasitizing everything. So it just goes all the way down into the quantum world, into the quantum level. And so everything can be considered a type of parasite in some ways. And it's really weird when these entities. Now, somebody said in the chat earlier, I think it was Lori Gibbs. I think she said that. She said that the demonic things scare the crap out of her. I've known people that could listen to things about cryptids and aliens, but if you talk about a ghost or a demon, they freak out. What's crazy is that that's what those are. They don't.
Yeah.
Like these dogmen, these creatures. Sometimes these demons that people will see inside their house, when they actually get a good look at them, they will look lupine, like wolf-like. Jason Bland is one I like to refer to. I mean, there's been a billion of them, but Jason, because he's got Paranormal Soup, when I interviewed Jason, we did like 2 or 3 episodes. The third, I guess, and final episode it was maybe, or the second or third one we did, he finally talks about what the attachment looked like. When he finally says what the attachment looks like, he reveals that it's a wolf-like creature, like a werewolf. Because think about this, True, and audience out there. When the Watchers were finally taken down and imprisoned, we don't know exactly what all of them looked like.
You can come in. I just turned the camera on.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what they looked like. All like some of them may have been just giants, but there could have been, and then their offspring. Who knows how many generations down they were doing the genetically altering of these entities?
No, there's a whole lot.
And
Probably till today.
the Watchers could have been like the Anunnaki. They could have been responsible for the or the fallen, I guess what you would call them. They could have been responsible for the Nephilim.
This is the second time that happened.
Hold on, True. You got your mic, you got your thing on. Okay, I was going to say if you're going to talk,
yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so the Watchers, they could have been responsible for the creation of the Dogman, initially a chimeric type creature. Now people would ask, why would you need something like that? There's reasons: war, imprisonment. If you want to really look at what they're making now, we're making robot dogs to hunt down fugitives.
Yeah,
they exist. They exist. They've been using them in the Ukraine war. With the Russians have been using them, not only for attacking or for hunting people down, but for body retrieval, things like that. There's videos of them, and I believe that one of the biggest contractors from there's a Russian company that makes them, and one of their biggest clients is Iran. That's reassuring, because there's a problem. I mean, that's an oppressive regime. Now, I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, I think that Israel's the good guy and Iran's the bad guy. I don't think either one of them are the good guy, but I damn sure think that Iran is an oppressive Islamic regime. That the sooner it falls, the better it is for the people. Now, I don't want it to be toppled and then just taken over and become another puppet by the West. But what I believe is that regime needs to be removed, because before that, the people were free, and it was a very strong and powerful nation full of intellectuals. So was Afghanistan. People don't realize. I've seen pictures of Afghanistan from the 60s and 70s.
They look like nice places.
It was crazy. They had this huge library in Kabul, and it was like,
they look like first world countries.
Man, they were smart. The women were dressed in sundresses, and the men looked like they were normal, not from the caves.
Yeah, bikinis on the beaches, man.
Yeah, I mean, and of course that wasn't good enough. So, certain powers had to go and topple them and make them into third world mess, because that's what they do. I'm not going to get into who or what. But that's beside the point. You know, we're getting off into whatever. But here is the thing. If you had the technology and you could bioengineer things, why not make a dog man if you're an evil empire, right? That could fight your wars and do things for you. There is supposedly an army-based civilization that existed in the southwestern part of India. And I'm going to say something else that sounds pretty wacky, and I don't care. Everybody's already thinks I'm a wackadoodle anyway. What does it matter? India, I believe, was a lot bigger than it is now. I know it sounds crazy, but when you look
Absolutely,
at a map,
it was.
That's why it was called the
it's
subcontinent.
called the subcontinent. Now you look at it, and it's like it's not even as big as like the smallest African country. It's like, why would you call that a subcontinent? Okay, by that logic, why don't we call Libya a subcontinent?
Yeah.
Why don't we call South Africa a subcontinent? You know,
Florida.
yeah, I mean, yeah, Texas is a subcontinent. You know, it doesn't make any sense. It just, you look at a map, and I'm like, you know, and I was explaining this to one of my little nephews, who he's the youngest nephew, and I was helping him do his geography, and he was like, I think like in middle school or something. And he you know, his dad was like, ask Uncle Wolf, he's the smart one, you know, and so he asked me about it. And of course, I go off into this tangent about how that's not how India looked when I was a kid. But he was asked to name 4 provinces of India. That was part of his deal. And I named like 12 of them. And I just said, pick one. And he started asking me what I knew about these different places. And I said, well, the capital of this one is this one, this one, this one, and then blah, blah, blah. He said, it seems like it's a really big place, but you look at it on a map, it's not. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's a little bitty thing. But at one time, it was South America, then Africa was a little bit bigger than South America, and then there was kind of this third thing hanging down, which when I was a kid on a map, and I remember this, India was like about half the size of South America.
Mm-hmm.
It's nowhere close now. It's nothing. It's like a little bitty, it's like they shrunk it down so the people would all have to go all over the world. Maybe that's why they did it. I don't know. So now you have all these people displaced. And destabilization seems to be the order of the day so that they can get everybody to go all over the place, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I really think that there was a civilization in southwestern India that was populated by a race of beings known as the Dogmen. Now, do I think that this is the Cynocephali? Do I think that this is the same? No, I don't. The Greeks were the first to talk about the Cynocephali, and then Marco Polo talked about it too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here in the West, and I hate to be, it sounds like I'm being crass or snotty, but we have stupid people. We have stupid schools. We have stupid people who read stupid books. They don't try to go and read anything from the Levant. They don't try to go and read anything from Asia or anywhere in Europe. They don't care. It's just whatever and so we're living in this goldfish bowl. One of my workers, he's from North Africa, and he's a really cool dude. I've known him for years. I get along real good with him. And when we get a chance to, we'll talk. He knows a lot about history, a lot of stuff, because he was, you know, raised in another country. And he went to a European school, and then he also went to a Middle East school. And he's Islamic, but that's kind of like saying, you know, that Trump's a Christian. Trump is, he pays lip service to it to please his base, but he's not really a Christian. But that's not his job to be a Christian or not be a Christian, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, that's like saying, you know, whatever. But he's not. He's Islamic by birth, but he doesn't really practice it. But one of the things that they really teach, like where he went, they really taught him like history, science, you know, geography. And he was talking to me about a book that he read. Now, this might be interesting to you, True. He said it was from the 1960s. Now, he's like 10 years older than me. So obviously he's 35. I'd be lying. I'm joking. Okay. Obviously, by looking at me, you can tell I'm at least 36 years old. Right. So, but anyway, no, he's you know, but no, he's an older guy. And he was telling me that he was reading this book that he had gotten from the library, and he never took it back. It was very interesting. but it was called the real. It was something like the real navigations of Marco Polo or something like that.
Yep.
And so when he read this book and when he started talking to me about it, my friend Daniel had that book when I was growing up. And I remember it being on his shelf. And he was one of those people that liked to look smart.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, what is this? And he goes, I don't know, it's a book. We're in college, right? He's like, I just, impresses girls who come over and they think, And I said, what do you do? When they pointed at the book and said, did you read those books? Because girls will do that. And then he would go, yeah, I just tell them and I make up a bunch of stories about it. So I said, Dan, can I? And his name was Dan. We call him Danny. I said, Danny, can I borrow that book? No. So I did something probably shouldn't have when we were drinking. I just grabbed it and took off with it. And it was called the Navigations of Marco, something like that. But when I started, I was going to read it and give it back to him. I promise I was. But when I started reading it, the pages started coming out of it.
Oh man.
And I was like, oh, page 16. You're like, oh crap, and I didn't know anything about putting books back together. My wife actually knows how to do that. So I didn't know her back then. I was young. I was like 20 something, 22, whatever. 20 years old, 21. And so I started reading it. And so I just took all the pages out and then I stuffed them back in there and put it on his shelf. And when he moved, I was helping him move and it fell into the ground. All the pages came out. And I'm like, whoa, what did you do? You must have never read that book. So I admitted it. Because he's the kind of person that would make me like if I took his SUV to Taco Bell and he got a scratch on his rim, he'd want me to buy him a new rim. I actually did that. That's why I know. And then he would be like, you scratched my rim, dog. What's up? And I'm like, dude, it was a mistake. He wanted me to buy him a new rim. So I'm not buying you a new rim, dude. I'll arm wrestle you for it. How about that? But he was upset. Like, obviously the book, he's like, what the heck? That book's messed up. I was like, yeah, it's a messed up book. I didn't realize that book went out of print, like literally in the 40s. And you can't find it anywhere in the West. Well, not in the United States. Now, who knows what the book was worth, but I did read it. And in that book, it talks about information that was passed down by Marco Polo. And one of those chapters, I remember him coming across, and it was very fascinating, a tribe of dog-headed people. And these people were basically like pirates.
Yep.
And they would use them as mercenaries in
the
war.
Marmoretti.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I was reading this, I was like, holy crap, dude. But one of the things I remember about that book was that it said that these beings could unattach from their body. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So their spirit could unattach from the body. The myth was that these beings could turn into a shadow. And if you could find their lair, that they would be, when they would leave their body in mass and they would be like these shadows, right? That was how you killed them. You could go to where these lairs where it was like underground. And I remember them talking in the book about how that's how Marco Polo described it. These people he was with, these Mongolians, they went into a cave and they killed like 50 of them while they were out of their bodies. And that's how they destroyed them. One of the things that was interesting too was that these beings like to go into people's houses and attach themselves to people and use the vessel. And they describe them as having like tentacles that would attach. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So whenever somebody says, well, you know what, I'm okay with cryptids, I just don't like the demons. Well, I think you don't like cryptids, because if we're being honest, a lot of our information has been taken away. It has been covered up. And you have people who were involved in that here in the West, like Rockefeller and Astor and all these people from these families, and they're all from the same families, inbred people, the Rothschilds with their weird Peruvian alien-looking skulls. They had a vested interest in making everybody stupid and putting them into the school of ignorance.
Yeah.
Very much into the school of ignorance. And you can tell, and the God that they worship is Lucifer. I promise you, that's who they worship. And that is the God of this world. I believe that. And his idea is to keep us all slaves. And at best, we are human batteries. And at worst, we're food. So that's what I think. I believe that's what's happening. And when Christ came, he was like, look, this is all wrong. And he was trying to tell us, he was trying to show us a better way. But it just seems like no matter if I ever talk about anything too real on this show, the attacks just they ramp up. They just go crazy, and it's just the mass reporting, and they have just done a number on our channel. They've choked out the growth, and these are people. These are people who are pawns that probably themselves don't even realize that they're pawns, and they're being used by the darkness to choke us out. So what you were saying, True, that's a long-winded explanation, kind of showing you that the cryptid demon thing is one and the same.
Oh yeah.
And I remember this, like reading that book, but what you were talking about is very common. These beings, who knows if they still have a corporeal body somewhere, or they're unattached from it, or they just move from person to person.
Well, I get you mentioned about alien abduction. This is going to be the cherry. This is the cherry on top for me, because there's a connection, and you've already said it. She mentioned to me early on, before I started noticing these manifestations, like this week. She said when she was a child, I think she was like a teenager. She used to, how can I say this? There would be a light that would show up in her room. Her brother was there in the same room. And these, I'm just going to say it like she told me. Aliens would come and take him. And she would be up. She would actually literally get up out of her bed to try to help him. But she would be frozen in place, and she had to watch him be taken. And there was nothing she could do about it. And she said that when her brother would come back, he would be upset with her because he would tell her, "Why didn't you help me?" That broke my heart, and it was an emotional moment because she felt helpless. She couldn't do anything about it, and she had to watch him be taken. And then with that, and then all the other things that took place, there's a lot. I want her to. I mentioned you to her. I mentioned her show, your show. I'm sorry. Um, I would. You might want to get her on your show. She has a
What is her name?
lot. Her name is Shanice.
Do you know her?
Yeah, yeah. I met her like 3 weeks ago, and through my daughter. I met her through my daughter. Yep. And she has been through a lot. And it's weird because I was trying to figure out how you and my daughter even associated, because they're complete opposites. Yeah, they're complete opposites. She's a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. Awesome, by the way.
You ever notice though how God brings people together?
Yes, we talked about that.
Yeah.
We did.
People that you need to be associated with to learn,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Here's
truly
something that I
believe
want
that.
to say. I mentioned to her one day that I had a dream. And this dream was very, very, very vivid. And I described the dream to her, the landscape and everything that I saw. And I was visited by a light being in this dream. And I told her, I said, "You remind me of that light being that I saw." And in this dream, the light being embraced me, just held me. And I told her, I said, "I felt the greatest love I've ever felt in my life." And I said, "You look like that light being." And I told her I'm weirded out right now because this was supposed to be a dream. Now here you are, you look just like this being, you know. And she said it's weird because people used to tell her that she had a light with her. People could see it. And I think the biggest thing for me, I think for her actually, when I described the landscape, because I was like on a balcony made of stone in a mountainside, and I could see across the entire landscape. I described it to her. She said, "You're not going to believe this, but you just described my backyard." I said, "What?" And she showed me pictures. She did a video. I said, "Okay." I said, "Yeah, there's something going on." For her to look like the being that was in my dream, and then the landscape behind her home and the landscape that I saw in that dream match up like that, I said, something's happening. I don't know what it is, but it's happening. So at this point, we're like, okay, let's just let God do what He's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Let's not question it too much. Let's just let Him do what He does. And it's been really weird. This is fresh stuff, Josh. This is absolutely fresh. Her situation with her ex, that's fresh. Everything's pretty much hot off the press, but she's been going through most of her life.
Mm.
That's why I think she needs to talk to you, so maybe you can help her out a whole lot.
I would suggest talking to her about generational cursing, because if she's had children with this guy, then these demons that will attach to him will also be through generational cursing. They will have an influence over the children. So if you tell her to renounce the generational curses in the name of Jesus Christ and really pray hard into that, then that will probably alleviate some of the activity, because some of it could be attached to the children as well, whether or not it will work through them. It will use that legalistic bond that it has to them in order to oppress the family.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Richards, I gotta tell you this, and this happened today as well. She told me a few days ago. She said, "True." Well, she didn't say True. She said Dre. That's my name, Dre. She said, "I got some photos of my youngest. She has her youngest with her. That's the only child she has. I think 5 children, but the youngest is with her. She's 5." And she said she had some photos that you could see a light around the child.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I've seen photos like that before. Today she showed them to me. Like I said, this is fresh. It's hot off the press, man. So she showed the pictures to me. She sent them to me through text. And I'm looking at them. I said, oh my God. It cannot be denied. There is a veil of light on this baby. And here's what really got me. There were multiple photos, multiple positions, multiple distances, and that light is still there.
Interesting.
Veiled over her face, mostly over her face and her head. Cannot be denied. I showed my wife. She saw it for herself. I'm like, that's amazing. There's something definitely there with her. And she feels like it may be her grandmother watching over the grandbaby, well, the great grandbaby at this point. But yeah, this stuff is real. Because like I said, I listen to you all the time. I hear these stories, and for me to get a story from somebody firsthand, yeah, my mind is blown right now. The only thing I can tell is what I've learned over the years, and even just listening to you, Josh. Stay prayed up. Use the
And
name of
guardian
Jesus
angels
every
are
chance you get. Go ahead.
guardian angels are real. I've had mine
Yes,
save my
sir.
life on 2 separate occasions. One
Mm-hmm.
during a
I
shooting
can
and
agree.
one from a shadow demon attack. And it manifested into, and the second time it was like the entire universe exploded in light behind me. I could see the light through the back of my eyes. So
One of the things
I
that
got one.
I think that the show on Monday I think is important. We don't get a huge crowd on Mondays. We like I've said before, but you might get 300 or 400, maybe 400 if we're lucky. But it's still one of my favorite shows to do
mhm.
because I enjoy people coming on and telling their encounters. And if anybody out there, and I know some people think that they have to just tell their encounter, but if you have an encounter and that somebody has given you, do like True did and come on and tell it, tell the story. One of the things we're going to get into on next Friday with Truth and Bass, and that's True, not Truth. And Truth is a different person, but Truth and Bass are going to be on again Friday. And one of the things I like about that is that they're going to start getting into some other people's encounters that they've covered, some different cases that they've looked into, and I talk about some, they talk about some stuff, and it just we go back and forth. There were a few things though that we kind of talked about that got a little graphic with the mutilation stuff, so I think we have to edit some of that out. It's unfortunately it's a little bit too graphic for YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe put it on Patreon.
Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to, because Patreon will get you too. I looked into it, so we'd have to do it on Rumble or something. But we might have to do that at a different time. But Truth and Bass covered some human, not just cattle, but human mutilation, and so it gets pretty. But I'm going to encourage everyone out there in the chat. Now, listen to what I'm going to say. True did his homework here, and he got somebody to tell their encounter to him. I mean, imagine how much more information we could have if everybody was doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
if everybody, I'm not telling you to go out and harass people like I did to get stories, because I know I was in some of the groups and that's what people have said things like, oh, well, who's over there harassing people, whatever. Yeah, well, how am I supposed to get the information? Okay, I needed to do that. And I don't do it much anymore. I really don't. I don't have to. Okay. But when I was starting out, the first 2 or 3 years, yeah, I had to really hustle. And once the floodgates were open, they were open. But I had to get them open. It wasn't easy. And I'm going to be honest, there's not really anybody I still don't know anybody who's done what we did. We kicked the doors in and we just said, look, we're gonna bust this out. And yeah, I was in like 200 or 300 groups, just constantly hours and hours and hours of just hunting people down, trying to get their information to talk about their encounters. And I got kicked out of some groups and I had people say things about me. I don't care, because if I wouldn't have done it, PRT wouldn't be what it is. And now it has become a destination for people to come and to tell their encounters to me so that I could retell them or they can come and tell them. And it's unlike anything else. There's a million people out there. No knock on anybody who does this, but there's a million people telling stories. There's a million people getting guests every week, running around trying to get a guest to repeat the story, whatever. There's a million people running around claiming to be walking around out there. Only a handful of them, think that they're militaristically doing boots on the ground, and who cares? Okay, everybody has their own niche, and they do what they do, and I could care less about any of it. All I know is what we do here, and I wish that you guys, the listeners, would take some from True here and go and talk to people, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. You don't got to be obsessive about it. People at Christmas time, how's everybody doing? Hey, have you seen a ghost? You don't have to do that. You don't have to talk about shadow demons at turkey dinner, to make everybody uncomfortable. Can you pass the pumpkin pie? Have you seen any demons? But if you were so inclined to throw yourself out there, it would be much appreciated, because, you could get some real doozies. I mean, the other day we hired a new guy. And I'm not going to say his name. I don't know. I mean, if he's comfortable saying it, but I mean, we hired him. and he's a friend of mine's son, and he saw something by one of the places that we did an investigation at. I knew that there was something like that there because I saw it in my mind's eye. Now, there was a guy who had given us a story, and he's got kind of a funny name. His name is Bugat. Well, is it Bugat or Bugat? Bugat. Okay. So Bugat gave us a story when he was working at this computer place, and the first part of it wasn't his. It was another guy who saw, and we talked about it on the show, that looked like a guy who was wearing a hoodie in the middle of the summertime, and they were some big shots that come down from Asia. And this guy in the face, when he was working late, he said, I usually got up about 5:30. He goes, it was about 7:30. And I had agreed to stay until 8 for my boss. And he goes, and I see this big shot walking around with a hoodie on. And they were practically living up at the campus. And he said that this guy, when he looked at his face, when he walked by him, he didn't really even say lizard-like. He said reptilian, almost snake-like in the face, is what he said.
Mm.
And it was crazy. But then later they were seeing this weird wolf-like creature running around on all fours, real skinny and like grayish pale. And one of the people that worked there, she reported when she was in the lunchroom, which you can see all through the woods from that lunchroom. And she reported seeing something that looked like a werewolf from Harry Potter. That was her exact words. Well, then we hired this guy, and we were training him at one of the sites on Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday. Mm-hmm.
And he tells us when he was young that he was playing over there, and he saw something that looked like
it looked like Gollum.
Gollum from The Hobbit, but he couldn't see its face, and it was running on all fours when him and his friends were running. And they look over and they see this thing, right? Well, it just kind of confirms for me because I used to have an account that was right. If you went behind there, and I'll just say it was Topgolf was one of my accounts. That's not where this happened, but I would drive the back way, and I would get the golf cart and I would go, drive. And I had to take a leak. I had to relieve myself. It is what it is. Got out of the golf cart and I went to do my business real quick, in those woods. And I heard something, and I remember it making like this pooching, smacking noise. And I'm like, what the freaking heck? And in my mind's eye, I saw this thing that it didn't really look like a crawler. I thought that that's what it was, like this Gollum looking thing, but without the big feet. And I got back in the golf cart and I told my wife, she's in the chat, and I told her, I said, there's something in those woods. And it was Bugat. I can't remember his roommate. His roommate had a long name. I know this isn't correct, but it sounded like Macadamia or Academia or something. Because my brother started calling him because he couldn't pronounce his name, so he called him Academia. And I know that's not his name. And the dude was real cool. He didn't live directly above us. He lived next to the people above us. And he was cool with it. He would just be like, what is this Academia? What is... And then he would call him Amadeus because we couldn't pronounce his name. So the guy just said, whatever, he answered to whatever. But it was like how the guy from the Minotaur story on the Patreon, he called that dude Alex. That guy, that kid, he's not a kid, but he's younger than me. So he's a kid to me. But he tells him, he says, I told him my name is William. It's not Alex. It doesn't even sound anything remotely like. And the guy was like, Alex. He kept.
Yeah.
So after I aired that show and I sent the guy the link, right? He said, I talked to my boss. I didn't say this on the Patreon show, but this to throw in the highlight in there. He says, he goes, he told me finally that he had a guy that worked for him for 2 years at another store down on the other side of Houston, and his name was Alex, and he had long hair. So that was the only, and so he just called William that because he was, a white guy with long hair.
Yeah.
Just called him that because he was like, Alex, all the time,
kind of racist if you think
It
about
is right. Well, people are all just, you're going to, but then again, calling somebody Academia, Amadeus, because you can't pronounce her name. What is that? My brother did that. But he was real cool about it. He's just like, oh, Diablo. Like he would say Diablo. But our old boss that me and my brother used to work for used to call Diablo Pablo.
yeah.
And he called him Pablo for like 10 years. He was Arab. He was Lebanese. He would be like, Pablo. And my brother, that's not even my brother's real name. Diablo's like a nickname, right? And he's like, dude, don't call me Pablo. And like my brother would get real mad. So then years later, he was calling this guy Amadeus or whatever. And I said, that's not his name, and he goes, well, I can't remember his name. And I'd only met him once or twice, but he was the one that told me about the wolf-like creature that he saw standing there in the bushes. But then he introduced me to that lady. And we went to the parking garage and we walked over there and she was there at lunch break and she told me the story, and I was intrigued. I was really intrigued. I was like, what in the hell is going on over here at this campus? But it was always during the time when these big shots would show up. Now, I know you guys remember when Nick Taylor, God rest his soul, my buddy from Chicago, big black dude, he came on the show and he talked about seeing, like in the mirror of the elevator, like he told it on the show, like he talked about seeing that guy change, like his face turned into a reptile right there in front of him. And that was at another campus. And then my friend Perry Travis, and Perry, he's another one. He's from Louisiana.
Yeah.
And Perry's like, he goes, I don't mess around with no demons, yo. Like he's a black dude too. He don't, he's like, he takes me over there and then he don't get out of the car. And he's like, go on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? And Perry's like, he rolls the window down a little bit. Like the demon's not going to get in if you don't roll the window down all the way. And he's like, go ahead, Wolf. You got this, bro. You tough, man. I believe in you. I'm like,
ain't no we gonna investigate you.
You investigate. You got to.
What is this we? What is this we?
What is this we?
I didn't sign up for no we.
We is a Nintendo game. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I get, and Perry's over there like, you go ahead, because Perry saw some weird stuff over there at that, and he was the head of security at one of these computer companies that's down the road from that one, because they're all right there together in North Austin, right? So I go over there and I sit down with this woman in her car and we start talking, and she's in middle management and she says, I saw a werewolf. And when I look at it, I said, it was a werewolf. She goes, it was a werewolf. And I think I know who it was. And she goes, and it was a guy from Indonesia who came here through a training course. And I told her, I said, it's always one of these people from Europe or Asia. I'm not even joking. And I don't know what that is, why these people, and I think when these people come, and thank you for those donations too, by the way, Barry and Rita. Rita is awesome. And Barry, thank you. But I honestly, I'm going to tell you something, guys. I think that this is going to sound completely nuts, but from researching it, 4 different places, 4 different computer companies. One of them is a huge global, or 2 of them are huge global. Well, I guess they all are, but one of them is gigantic. Like they're everywhere. Probably on Mars even, and you can't get away from them. But I think that what we were dealing with was these reptoids when they would come. I think they brought their pet dogman with them. I think they did. I'm not even joking. There was a guy that used to be the head of security at one of those places that Nick worked at. And Nick said it on the show. He was like, look, I just pretended like I didn't see it. I didn't want trouble. But it makes sense because at the same time, there was a longtime listener of ours. He introduced me to his son. He said, my son works the head of security over there, blah, blah, blah. He takes us to the campus. That's during the virus going around, the pandemic. And so we are doing like an investigation, and he introduces us to this woman that was sitting out in her car at 4 a.m. When I put the times together from when Nick saw what he saw, and this woman saw what she saw, it was the same month, the same year. And I thought, this is not a coincidence. The reason she was sitting in her car at 4 a.m. when everybody used to come into work at 7, 8, whatever, they staggered it 4, 5, 6 to keep people from the COVID. They did some weird stuff, right? And so they thought, well, this is going to keep the spread. What is it they said? Stop the curve or whatever. I don't know what it was. Whatever those sayings they had, something like that. But anyway, they were talking about how we were supposed to bring it down or whatever. She was sitting in
Weeks.
her car and she saw this thing come out of the woods and stand there leaning on a tree. This is the same month, maybe like a week but prior to Nick call, when he told us, when he called in and told us, it was way later, but that's the same time when he saw that man change in the elevator. And I asked Nick, and Nick is a big guy. He was a big guy. God rest his soul. He worked for me and then for Arash for years. And he's a big dude. Nick was probably like 6'3", weighed about 400 pounds. He was a big guy. And he goes, dude, it scared the crap out of me. No, I never saw Nick get afraid. Like Nick used to throw people out on their ear. Dude, super strong. And he was like, dude, I was terrified, Wolf. He goes, I'm not going to lie. And he says, dude, I just kept looking at my phone, pretending like I didn't see what I just saw. And I asked Nick, I said, how tall was the guy? He says, probably about 6'7", 6'8". Now, working at those clubs all them years, he's a pretty good judge of height,
Mm.
And yeah, dude, he was like, dude, I called in the next 2 days. I didn't want to run into the guy. And he was some guy from Europe, like Slovenia or something. And so that woman, she was just an average woman working there, doing IT. And she said, I know what I saw. She's like, we're not going to say my name. So I'm not going to say your name. We're going to get you in trouble. But what are the odds? Like, what are the odds? And then this guy, like I said, he just gave me that story. He goes, yeah, we were playing. He's a young guy. He's in his early 20s. So he says, when I was a kid, that was a few years ago. But he was like, we were playing, me and 4 friends, and we were running. And I look over and there's this golem-like creature running alongside us. And the place was abandoned at that point. They had moved the campus. But that, to me, confirmed it, because I was like, dude, and I had walked through there a few times with my dogs, and my dog would get one of them in particular, he would get so wound up, had a little wiener dog named Bowser. I had to pick him up because he wouldn't stop barking and jumping around and peeing, because they love to pee. Those dogs are pee everywhere. So I had to pick him up and carry him. He'd be peeing on me, dude. He's freaking out because I'm by those woods,
Mm.
And I know what happened to me. I heard that weird smacking noise, and I got back in that golf cart real quick. And I told Nelly, I was like, there's something in those woods. And, Begot and his roommate told us. And I can't remember his name. Amdika. That was his name. I just said I can't remember. His name was Amdika. That was his name. And I should have remembered that because I knew a guy from Sri Lanka with that same name that I went to school with. Amdika. My brother would call him Amadeus and Macadam. Couldn't remember his name at all. He just kept saying, but he remembered Begot, but him and Begot used to talk all the time, and they'd be outside because they would sit there and just vape, that weird, whatever, bubble gum and bullshit, whatever. And then, yeah, they would, my wife, my brother does that. And him and Begot would vape because Begot's younger brother worked at the store across the street. He ran it. And my brother would just go there every day, and get one of these drinks that's the size of like, your gas tank. And, yeah, I told him, I said, you're going to become diabetic. And he did, just drinking that crap every day. And those guys liked him a lot. So they would give him free vape and stuff. And then see, he's laughing in the chat. It's not funny, D, because you got diabetes now. So yeah, he was real good friends with that guy, and that guy he told us some weird stuff, man. He goes, man, he's like, dude, I saw that guy's face change. Now imagine though, if everybody did what True did and went out and got stories and then retold people's encounters. Imagine, because how many people have stories today? A guy sent me a thing. I'm not going to say his name yet because I don't know if I have permission or whatever, but he sent me a thing. This is in my email. I'm going to show you an example. And I'm just going to use this one because I looked at it right before I left the house, and I'm going to use this as an example here.
It was flatten the curve, by the way.
Flatten the curve. That was the shit they were saying. Here it is. I'm not going to say his last name. I'll say Zach is his name. And this is an example of an email. He says, hey, man, I just recently came upon Paranormal Roundtable. I love the show. He says, I have a lot of stories, but I wanted to just focus on 3 of them specifically. And then he goes on to say, first encounter was when I was 23 years old, blah, blah, blah. See, this is when I just got today and I was looking at it. Like I was at the ranch, all day, but doing stuff. But I got a chance to just look at the email one time. And this is what I found. Now, I love that Zach sent me this story. I love that this is what people do, right? But he says, I'm just going to focus on 3. Now, if I get a chance to talk to Zach, I want to know all of it. I want to get those 3 stories. This is usually what happens, right? You will get 1 or 2 stories that people will try to tell you, let me focus on these 2. And that's what happened with the guy that gave us the stories, Robert or Robbie. But I mean, last night, that guy, his 2, he just was going to tell me 2 encounters he had, and he wasn't even going to put them together. But I said, look, tell me the whole thing. And he started telling me. And he kept stopping and going, are you getting this? And I told him, I got it. And so, there's an entire thing there, like an entire, not just a Lechusa story or a Dogman story, but there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they're all connected because they are legion and they are many and many are one.
Okay.
I agree.
I had to read something from work. Did you read that, Anthony?
Yeah, I saw.
Okay. All right. So you got it?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I can't stop working ever.
Another 80 people in the pool?
No, dude, I couldn't believe it. Okay, you know who fielded that report? 80 people. That he came on the show, and he was Christopher. He works for us, as a subcontractor. He was the one that answered that call from me. And y'all probably remember him as he came on and talked about the clown that looked like a werewolf, or the werewolf looking like a clown, whatever. Yeah, he used to be a priest. Yeah, he was in the Marine Corps, and he has a really weird, colorful life. He was a Marine and a former priest, but he decided he wanted to get married and be with a woman, so he did. But yeah, he went and handled that report, and I was like, 80 people. As crazy as that sounds, that is a very large property with a very large, nice pool. They have 3 pools. 2 of them are outdoors, and one of them's indoors. So it didn't shock me that was happening there. But I have filled a report where somebody said there were 30, 40 people, and I counted 58 people in a small pool, not a big one. And so, yeah, I mean, it happens, And so, yeah, he was the one that did that report. He's the one that told me, hey, I had to go handle that. He watches the show sometimes. I think he's on patrol tonight. But, you get these stories from people, but I just wish more people would do what True did, And if we could get people to do a little more, like, field work, just imagine the kind of community we could have. Instead, everybody's depending on everybody else to tell everybody. Because in all reality, you need a hub, to but you don't really need anything. You just need people that are willing to come forward,
Right.
And that's the thing. But not everybody can talk either. But what are your plans with this, True? Are you going to do some more research into this and come back with more? What do you think?
Well, there's more. She has a lot more because this started when she was a child, and it gets spilled over into her marriage. Her family has experienced a lot of things, so I can literally pull her whole family and get stories from everybody because everybody experienced it. She told me a story today where her and her husband laying in the bed, getting ready, go out for the night, and she heard like a guttural growl first, and it said "mommy" in a guttural voice, and it kept repeating. Everybody in the house heard it. Her husband heard it, and every time it said "mommy," it got clearer and clearer and clearer.
Mhm.
I said, "It sounds like it was practicing to get it right." But yeah, there's a lot of story. There's a lot just in her case alone. I got stories of my own. You know, jeez, it's a lot just dealing with her by herself. Um, uh, my wife, she has stories. I have a story for me and my daughter, who was 6. We experienced it together, and I told my wife, I tried to wake her up this night. She would not wake up. But me and my daughter had an experience. And I truly believe that my daughter, she saw this entity in the spirit, and I felt the presence. And it was so prevalent that the next morning, I asked my wife, because I was at work, I asked my wife, I said, well, ask her, did she see anything last night? And she said, yes, she did. I said, well, ask her to describe it. The funny thing is, or it's not really funny, what she described is what the young lady's son described. And it was over me and my wife. And what I did, because I recognized the presence, because I've had experiences throughout my life, I was able to get out in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. That's all I could say. I thought that I was saying it out loud. My wife said she never heard me. And my daughter, she was struggling because I could hear her in her bed, because her bed is in our room. She was flailing around like a fish out of water. And I never forget, I said to her, I said, baby, I yelled it out loud, and she immediately just stopped. But there was something there. After I called on the name of Jesus, it left and has not returned. But she described what this young lady said her brother, or well, no, when her children saw. It's just a dark mass, but there were tentacles. My daughter called it an octopus. She said it looked like a black octopus.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, you know. So I'm already on it. It was something trying to come in. But I tell my wife and tell everybody that I know, I keep my house protected
Mm-hmm.
under the name of Jesus Christ every single morning and every night, because they never stop. These entities never stop, so you can't stop either. You have to be vigilant. If they find any kind of loophole, they're going to run through it.
That's right.
So
Spiritual
I do
opening.
my best. I do my best not to give them any kind of loophole to squeeze their way in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we also have to be careful of our personal energy. Like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling down? Are you angry? Things of this nature, because they will use that as a way in. You gotta always be mindful. You know, keep your energy up. Stay prayerful. Even if you're feeling down, still stay prayed up, because that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep your protection around you. I build a hedge of protection around my household, my family, and home every single day. You know, um, I wouldn't even leave home. Like, when I leave home, maybe 5 in the morning, I will not leave this house until I make sure my prayers are done. That
Mm-hmm.
protection is set around my home.
Good
I won't
policy.
even leave the
That's
house.
smart.
Yeah,
Very
I
smart.
mean, I've actually been late,
I've
but I
done that
refuse to
too.
leave the house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We say a
I
prayer,
won't
all of
leave
us
the home.
together.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I always pray
and my
that we
friend,
arrive safely, physically, mentally, and spiritually, safe and sound.
exactly,
That's a very
exactly.
important thing.
Yeah, and a lot of people, when you said mentally, spiritually, and physically, some people just kind of skirt over the spiritual
Mm-hmm.
and the mental. Some people don't realize this spiritual thing is more prevalent than the physical.
No,
Oh yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
you don't skirt over it. You
Mhm.
know, it may seem insignificant because you can't see it. Sometimes you can't feel it, but it's there. But that's the most important thing. You better protect your spirit, man, because we're more than just physical beings. We are spirit first. You understand?
Mhm.
So
You're right.
Spiritual beings
I'm
having
just
a physical experience.
Yep.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah, the material world is
Yeah,
just like a sliver of reality. That's all it is.
yeah. You know what? I've never heard anybody say that, but I agree with that. It's just
Mhm.
a slither of reality.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
because
I can totally agree with that.
like I've wrestled with the question myself for kind of a while now because I mean it's a tricky question on like the physical, the flesh and blood, this material world, these things that we can perceive with our five senses.
Right.
Is this actually real, or is it an illusion? And I I have personally come to the conclusion that yes, that this is real. I don't believe that it's an illusion, but it's easy to think that because th- this is a very, very small part of reality. But I
Hmm.
do believe that it is a part of reality, and if
Yeah.
it's not meaningless. It does have
Right.
meaning. It's just that it does not it does not mean as much as we might think it means. You know, the spirit. When you walk in the spirit, that's where the true meaning of life, of everything really um it's like there are levels to this, you know,
Yes.
and it's really I'm trying to find the words here. It's kind of mind-blowing when you realize that in this physical world entire legacies are cemented. People live their entire stories that they live and die like in this physical reality, and
Hmm.
this is just like a tiny sliver of it. There is so
Yeah.
much more beyond this, but this is real. It's just that okay. Let me try and give a visual example, although it's kind of a crude one. It's like
Okay.
let's say this stack of business cards is the entirety of reality, right? This
Okay.
this one little sliver right here, this is where we're living. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the base surface level right here. Now, it doesn't make this any less real than the rest of these business cards, but it's
Right.
just a tiny little fraction of a fraction of what the real
Wow.
reality is, and
I
that's
like
why
that
this
visual. That
show.
was a good one.
Yeah, and that's why this show and the community, y'all here, and everyone in the chat is so important because we ask these questions, we think about these things, and we want to know where our place is within that reality, and why it
Hmm.
matters, and how real it really is.
Yeah.
You know where reality comes from? Jesus spoke it into existence.
Vibration, sound, yeah,
Hmm.
You know, it clearly says that, you know, nothing was created that wasn't created by Jesus. And that was him in the pre incarnate uh, part of his existence. In other words, that was at the beginning, long before he came to earth to die on the cross for us and became a human being. So everything was
that's what,
spoke into existence.
yeah, that's why it says that's why scripture says I am the alpha and the omega, because
That's correct.
The
it's like
beginning
they're.
and the end.
Yeah, at the same time, when it comes to like infinite reality, there is no beginning, There is no end. It just is. And with God, we have to have, with our three-dimensional minds, we have to perceive things. We have to understand them in some way. So for us, we have to have a beginning and an end. We have to have like a linear understanding of things.
Yeah.
We have to
So
have
We
time.
talked about this the other day.
yeah. So when God, I believe that when God speaks to us, he speaks to us on a level that we can understand, which is why Jesus always spoke in parables.
Yeah.
You know.
I want to say something on those lines there. We were talking about this the other day. First, I want to say hi, Beyond the Box. Brenda, pray for her. She had a stroke, and I'm glad to see you're out and about and you're doing a little
Oh,
better.
God bless you.
Yeah, she's always in Abe Ceus's chat. She's a good person, and so here's the thing. Somebody was talking to me recently about one of my listeners. We were actually with somebody I was getting a story from, and Anthony, you ended up kind of interjecting, and we ended up talking about this. And I think it's important. She was saying that she can't fathom how everything it just is, and how God just is. So I told her, I said, "Do you understand that time exists here for us on Earth? Right? It is linear. There's a beginning. There's an end. There's a time. Right? But if you were to leave this, let's put it this way: the world that we know, they say it's over 2 billion years old, right? 2.5 billion years old. Now, there's people that will argue that. I'm convinced that it is extremely old. But
I agree.
think of it like this: what is a year? Well, what we know of as a year is one rotation of our Earth around the sun, supposedly, right? That is a year. But if you leave the Earth's atmosphere, you are no longer a part of this whatever going around the sun. So the estimates are between 10 and 12 billion years. That's how old the universe is. But it's being judged by who and by what? By our rotations around the sun, a small, really insignificant planet when you look at the greater outer whatever. So how would that work? Well, if you're going out into the heavens and you're away from the earth, time as we know it no longer exists, and it ends like that. Boom, it's over. So you cannot, there is no time out there because you just are. And it's hard to fathom, but you can't have any judgment of time because it's gone. Because time is based on us going around the sun. And even if you looked at it from a lunar calendar, well, you're out there. There is no more sun. There is no more moon. So there is no time. So it's easy to kind of figure, actually, it's so easy that it's hard. You ever seen a dog or a cat that is so ugly? They're cute.
Yeah.
It kind of is like,
Yeah.
you know,
Like
what
it
I'm
comes
saying?
full circle, you know.
It's an analogy, you know. Yeah. And so I like animals anyway. I could look at an ugly little animal and say that animal's got hope. You know, it's cute, whatever. I've seen the ugliest. I had the ugliest dog. She was so ugly. Her name was Miss Kitty. She was a dog, but we called her Miss Kitty. And she was like, you know, she was terrible, but I loved her forever. I loved her. And she was my Ivan, my best friend, Ivan. He was my companion. That dog protected me. He was just a strong dog. Even though he was neutered, he was a strong male dog. And Miss Kitty was his buddy. And so when he passed away, it was, you know, Miss Kitty, you know, me and her were always real close. But then when she passed away, it was really hard because that's all I had left of Ivan. So he was the best dog I ever had. And I got a lot of good dogs now. I think my favorite, I don't want to say I have a favorite, but probably Elvira.
Yeah.
Elvira is something else. But dogs and cats, right? They're beautiful, but you know, it's like some of them are so ugly. And I've had people with ugly dogs. There was a place I used to work at. A lady would walk the dog, and that dog was so ugly. And I love that dog because it was so ugly. But you know, it's like Drew's like laughing, but it's crazy though, because like it's like so easy to fathom that it becomes hard, and we make it hard But when it's God exists out of time and space, he doesn't exist in our time or space because he's not here going around the sun with us, which is what the time
Exactly.
is. So it's really easy to figure, and there is no beginning or end. It just is, right? But we here on Earth, because we're locked into a linear time, we have to have a beginning and an end. It was like, well, there has to be something that started this. There had to be something that started all of it. How did this happen? How did that happen? And we have to ask all these questions. And God tells you, I'm the Alpha and the Omega. I'm the beginning and the end. And it's all happening at the same time, and I'm in control of it. And if he made our world, he made other worlds. And I don't mean just a planet, I mean a world being like the outer reaches, the universe. There is an article I read, and I'm a science nerd, I guess, when it comes to this, but I read this article about how our whole universe is actually inside of a black hole. And they didn't think that that was the case. But, you know, what if our entire universe is just like some soap scum going down a drain? The black hole is just a drain, and we can't fathom it.
Yeah, I've thought about that before.
You know, we're so insignificant.
Like the ending of the first Men in Black
But
movie.
think about it, though. God loved all of us, even on the quantum level of the tiniest little maggots that we are.
Yeah.
He sends Christ, look, help those people, help those beings. You know, go down into that world and pull their souls, because they are a part of the whole of the Creator, and pull them out of this horrible time that they're in. He is omnipotent. Now, the God of this world, Lucifer, is not omnipotent. And there are a passel of people, including whole religions, that follow him and bow down to him. And there are singers and writers and all kinds of people who go down that road for a few little breadcrumbs from the mucus that he spits on them, and they call it dew. And then they curse God and his son and turn their back on him and say, we're going to follow the beast because, you know, whatever. What do you get out of that in the end? Your short ant-like lifespan, which is like that, is over. Then what happens? You belong to the beast forever. And then ever meaning in the sense that we know of as forever, as perpetual. Because they make the time here a linear thing. So imagine being stuck like that. And your consciousness is forever stuck. That's hell. That is hell.
Yeah.
If you ever sat in a room for hours with nothing to do and you just stayed awake for hours, it can become a type of hell. And you can also start to see hallucinations, which come from the depths of your mind. I had a friend of mine who was in the military. He was a Navy SEAL. And they did this sort of training with him where they put them in these deprivation, you know, and they keep waking them up, you know. And he said, he goes, after 30, I guess he said about the 30-hour mark, he started hallucinating. And he saw like a house like being built and then decaying and dissolving and then being rebuilt. And he goes, dude, it was like a type of hell, you know? So you can understand like that is like a hellscape. And it was like a reality that he could not, you know, fathom. After 2 days of this, he had an entire world that was going on. And when they pulled him out of it, he was like, whoa, he had to readjust to not being the God of his own world. Think about that.
Yeah, that is strange.
Because we could be God's waking dream. And when he's done with us, that's it. But he's nice enough to pull us out. Because it's been explained to me by some very powerful remote viewers over the years that we are nothing but a wisp. Like we're just easily blown away. And we're like a sliver of consciousness that is inside of this little whirlwind. What's up, Truth?
Yeah, you remind me when you just said that. I saw a video a couple of years back where they had a computer-generated image of what I guess you could say the universe.
Mm-hmm.
What they did, they mapped out all the different galaxies, right? And what they did was compiled all the galaxies together. And what it would look like if you would zoom out and look at all the galaxies, Now, you know, we have our Milky Way. We're in the Milky Way galaxy. You know, it's very large. Some people can't even fathom how large it is. But we're just a speck of dust in our galaxy. I mean, what I mean by us, our solar system. Okay. And then even further than that, our galaxy is just a speck. It looks like a star when you zoom out. But when you get all of the galaxies together collectively and you zoomed out, it looks like nerves. The nerve synapses of a brain.
Yeah, like neurons. Yeah.
Neurons. There we go. That's it. They look like the neurons of a brain when you zoom out and look at it all together, and it kind of makes you wonder. You know, we're literally microscopic in the grand scheme of it all. You know,
I mean, we're subatomic basically.
Yeah, and when people,
yeah,
they puff up their chest and they act like they're really something, and you're like, dude, the largest creature in the universe isn't even, the largest physical creature is nothing. I mean, we're inside the synapses of a brain, and they're like, well, the universe is expanding. Well, what if the universe is a being?
Yeah,
I'm not saying the universe is God, but what if we're inside of a being, and God is so far beyond, because God is beyond that being and all the beings around it. That he's so far removed, and the only way to get back to him is through his son, the messenger that came to deliver the message. It's very hard to fathom, and it's hard for people to wrap their mind around time not being linear in the way that we want it to be. That is another thing. So you have these weird proclivities that people have. They have to make not just religion, but they have to make it fit so that God fits into the box that they want him to be in. But God doesn't fit into any box. And people learn real quick, when they die. I've interviewed bunches of people, and one of the questions I always ask people, if you've ever talked to me on the phone, and not a lot of people that I actually from the show interview. It's actually most people that they introduce me to or something, but there've been some on the show too. But they'll tell you, I always ask, have you ever had a near-death experience or an out-of-body experience? Because that's a very important thing. Another question I always ask is, do you think you've been abducted? Why? I had a guy from Boise, the Boise, Idaho, Bigfoot, whatever. And we were having a conversation last summer, and I remember asking him about his encounter, and he got offended. He got really aggravated. He was like, what the hell does that have to do with Bigfoot? I said, it's got everything to do with Bigfoot. I was like, I asked a question. Have you ever had no, I never had no. And I said, well, okay. And I asked him, I was like, have you ever been abducted? No, I haven't been abducted. I was like, and he didn't want to talk about it anymore. Well, that's too bad. Not for me, but for him. Because he's very close-minded. And one day when he passes away, because I didn't even get a chance to explain to him how it's all connected so that we could get more deeper. And he hung up on me and went to that group and said I was a Looney Tune.
Wow.
For asking a simple question. And then a couple of people that didn't like me joined in and said, well, yeah, F that guy. At the end of the day, just remember, Jesus said they hated me first. And I'm not comparing myself to Christ. I'm just saying, anybody, you guys on the panel or in the chat, don't feel bad. Dust your feet off and just move on. I didn't say a word back to this guy. He just ran over there and said a bunch of mean stuff to some people they're always waiting in the wings to attack some people. And I learned they're not just attacking me, they're attacking other people because they're very miserable, angry people. And I can honestly say this. My dad asked me this question the other day. We don't talk a whole lot because I've been public on it about the show about how I feel about my parents and the way that I think a lot of latchkey kids can relate. I don't think my parents did a good job of raising me. But I don't think the boomers did a good job of raising people in general. I'm not indicting an entire generation, but there, by and large, a lot of divorce, A lot of broken families, they spend a lot of time being duped by the system into chasing money and the kids being neglected. I was a child of neglect, but I still forgive. I still try to do what I got to do. And sometimes I'll talk to my dad. So we had a talk and he asked me this question. He's like, "Are you happy?" I said, "Well, what is happy? Are you?" He says, "Yeah, I'm happy," but he's very reclusive. He only wants to spend time with his wife, and that's he's want to do anything with people. That's fine. My idea of happiness is not having to deal with a bunch of problems. Someone else's idea of happiness is probably going to a water park with their family or camping or whatever. The best I could hope for in happiness in this life seems to be just not having a cascade of problems come down that I have to deal with. So if I can go a day where I can actually get some research done and not have to deal with a bunch of crisis, then that's happiness for me. I know that sounds pretty dreary and kind of miserable, but once you forego the attachments of comfort, once you let those go and you quit following comfort and worshiping it, because let's be honest, our society here, we have no clue how hard it is for the average person. I don't mean the average American. I'm talking about the average human being that has to go and find food and water every day. That's their goal that day, to get clean water and food. Forget having running water or electricity. If it goes out for us, it's a minor inconvenience. Where most people in the world, that's just how life is. You go find it. So to me, I feel like I'm middle of the road. If I can, live a day without having a bunch of horrible crap that I have to run around dealing with, that's a happiness to me. And I've had a lot of my friends and family tell me, "Man, that really sucks." And I'm like, "Well, your life is different. When you choose to follow a certain path, which I have, and I'm on that path, not only is it a thankless task that you live your life day to day in the pursuit of knowledge and to give people what you've learned, that becomes your ultimate goal. You forego comfort, you know. If the internet starts to go out of the house or whatever, you sit in the truck. If you don't have gas in the truck, then you sit in the heat or the cold and you get the people's information and you just keep going. I've had to pull over in the rain and get people's information because they don't understand. They're trying to tell you something. You have to do it. I've had to go and sit post at 3 a.m. and my wife's like, "This sucks. Does this life, does this have to be it? Now, who else is going to do it?" My business partner's in his 70s. He's not in good health. What am I going to do? Make him get up out of bed and go do it? No. He used to. We'd flip coins for it, Can't do that anymore. I do it. I deal with it. When he went down with his heart attack, I had to fire a guy and just told him, "I don't need you anymore. You do it yourself." I did it, and for a year and a half, I've saved money not paying that guy to do it. So this is life. So to me, yesterday was a good day. I didn't have a bunch of fires to put out. Today wasn't terrible. I didn't have a bunch of fires to put out. So that's happiness for me. The average person, at least in this country, is going to look at that and go, "Golly, what kind of shit is that?" But for me, that's fine. I'm happy as long as I don't have to deal with everybody's shit. That's it. If people do what they're supposed to do and don't make me deal with it, that's good. And that's the best you could hope for. And whenever someone tells me something, and one of my workers, he hasn't been with us that long, and he was like, "You work a lot." And I told him, I said, "I don't stop." And he said, "That's a miserable existence." I said, "No, you know what was miserable? Read the Epic of Gilgamesh, read the end of it. Look at what happened to those people before Christ came. The best they could hope for was sitting at a table with their friends and eat ash in the afterlife. And then Jesus came and said, 'Hey, there's a better way. You don't have to be a shade and just eat ash.'" It's horrific.
Yeah.
That is the thing people don't understand. Happiness is a matter of perspective.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So, there are some animals that live their entire lives chained to a tree. Can you imagine that? They don't even know their whole life is suffering. They wouldn't know a happy day ever until you take them off the chain and show them happiness. Then they're like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, a happy day is maybe not getting rained on, maybe not sitting directly in the sun, finding a cool spot to cool their belly and get out of the shade. It saddens me when you think about how people treat animals.
Yeah.
Like because they're less than we are, because we're told that we have dominion and we're better than they are. That doesn't mean that you debase and abuse them. You know, I'll never forget one time, and this is something my dad did. He took me to a slaughterhouse. And this was probably a brutal thing, but it was a lesson, and they were teaching me about where food comes from. And we were at my Uncle SD's, and my grandfather and my dad, I've never talked about it. I was 9 years old, and they told me to pick out a calf.
Mm.
And, you know, as a child, you pick out the cute one. You think, well, this is a little cute one right here, you know?
Yeah.
That is a lesson you learned real quick. I was like, holy shit. And my dad and my grandfather were like, what do you think food comes from? But that teaches you a reality that you are super duper thankful, and you become a person who doesn't waste food. I watched a video one time where this guy was taking a chicken carcass and throwing it all over the place and playing with it.
I can't stand those.
And I was like, an animal died and gave its life so that you could make a video playing around with its carcass. Do you know how ridiculously just unhinged and evil that is? Because they weren't raised like I was, where you picked out an animal and you had it killed. And I will never forget when I went with my grandfather to pick up some food that we had butchered from the slaughterhouse in Rockdale. And there was this young guy there, and I watched this. He took the cow out into the pen, and back then it was, you know, not to be graphic, but there was a gun. And the cow wasn't moving fast enough, so he began to smack it with the butt of it. And I was just like enraged. You know, I was watching this, and I was like, what? And I told my grandpa, I said, Papa, why does he have to do that? The cow's already, you know, and my grandpa went through the fence, probably because I had witnessed it, and my grandpa went up to him and grabbed it. And he smacked him in the stomach with it. But those people there, they were so afraid of my grandfather, they weren't going to tell him anything. He's 6'4", 400 pounds, and he was just a big old beast. And he took it and he says, if you're going to do the animal, like he said it, you know, look, mother effer, if you're going to kill it, don't debase it. The animal suffered enough. It's, you know, and my grandfather did the honors, you know. I'll never forget that. I was like 7, right? And I remember like right at my 9th birthday, I was taken to the field, and they said, pick out a calf. And this is stupid. I mean, I was a kid. I thought I was getting a pet cow.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't. You know, you think about that. You do when you realize like how life is, the fragility of it. You know, and you think about the suffering of animals and of people. You know, it puts things in perspective. That's why we need Christ, because that's why Christ came. That was a lesson that I learned, you know, early as a young man. And my grandfather was like, you've seen me shoot a cow, like or a steer. He said, what do you think this is? This is what our family does. I mean, because most of them were ranchers and farmers. And I sat up in a tractor, and I remember watching the combine go, you know, and with my Uncle Billy. And I watched this thing just destroy mice. They were all over the field, and it was just chewing them up. Because you don't realize how much life is in those fields. That's a brutal fact of farming. And I'll never forget, I was 6 years old, first time I caught a bunch of catfish. And I thought, well, we're going to let them go now, right? And my grandpa was like, hell no, we're going to eat them. And you're going to clean them. And it was horrible because you just, they're hanging there on a tree and they're suffocating. And my grandparents taught me, don't let them suffer like that, just to cut the heads off, whatever.
Yeah.
Life is precious and we take it for granted. And whenever I think about people who've suffered at the hands of some murderer or psychopath or killer, whatever, the only thing I can think of is, do you realize that that's going to be done to you? What you do is going to, whatever you put into this, it's going to be done back to you. So torturing and suffering and all these things that the evil gets pleasure and satisfaction from. A person becomes so desensitized that he smacks a cow and hurts it, and I've seen videos where they abuse these animals. They're already suffering in a horrible way, and they have nothing to look forward to. The ending of their suffering is just getting their ending of their life, so that people can make videos and play with their food. And I've always had a problem, with since that, especially since I think I was 8 years old when that happened. I was 8. It was my 8th birthday. But I would always see my friends eat 2 bites out of a steak or something and just not, and I'm just like, do you know, like, what?
Yeah.
But these are city people. They don't understand. They didn't grow up like I did and eat what you grew.
Mhm. Or like working at hotels, I would see people's room service trays outside their door, just 2 bites taken out of their food.
Yeah.
And then they just throw it out there.
It's a horrific
Sickening
thing. But life is a very precious thing, and we take things for granted. That's the point. Here in the West, we take it for granted, and then we wonder why the rest of the world looks at us like we're shitheels. Well, that's why. Yeah, I'm not a bleeding heart liberal at all, but that's it. So sorry about that. I mean to segue into something very,
Yeah, life is cruel, man.
Life is cruel. And, I think that protecting our children should be the utmost important thing, and teaching them when they're young. And I'm going to say something. I think dads are very important. I'm not saying mothers aren't. Like having a mom goes without saying. Like that, you don't even have to say it. The mother has to,
self-evident
and nurturing. But there just seems to be this way of life in this country that a dad is just kind of there. He's marginalized. And if you notice these shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad,
dad's always an idiot.
There's just a whole slew of shows where the dad is just a useless, dumb, bumbling fool.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that is because the powers that be know that the dad has the responsibility of raising the son and teaching them logically. Woman is the nurturer and the emotional provider. Dad is supposed to teach you common sense, right? So if you take the children and pit them against the dad, and then you put all the burden on the mother, right? That doesn't work. It's not working. We don't have strong men mentoring our children anymore. And in fact, there's a lot of men that just aren't there doing it. Nearly every friend I have, and I'm talking, it runs the whole spectrum, every friend I have, even people that come from other countries where typically the nuclear family is together, here in the States, they're not. They're not. And that is a problem. That's a big problem. Look at Mackay, right? We were talking about him on the show the other day. He's a Sudanese guy. He married a Sudanese woman, but she was here in the States for several years. And then she decides she wants this and wants that, and goodbye. And he had to fight to see his children. And he's like, this is crazy. Because he was overseas working. to provide. And so while he was gone, she decided, hey, see ya. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. Like Eddie Murphy. I'm gonna be where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not to be mean or anything, but it's like, you treat me like animal. Half, Eddie.
Yeah.
I want half.
Yeah.
And he's like, golly, how did this happen? American way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And then they want, things that and there's nothing wrong with wanting things. Everybody wants things, but you know what causes suffering? Want.
Mhm.
The want of
Mhm.
things causes suffering.
And false expectations.
Mhm.
Desire is the root of all suffering.
Yeah, if you could just give your stuff away to people, which I've done a lot of times, just
Mhm.
giving things that are very valuable, just give them away. I know it sounds crazy, but you would feel a liberation in your soul, and you would, and not to sound like a hippy dippy goofball, but I'm being honest. You could literally give things to people.
A gift is a blessing to the giver, man.
Yeah. I mean, we were at a family get together, and Anthony, you were there, and there was a guy. He's not a guy. He's 17, 18-year-old, kid. And his dad was with my cousin. He liked my watch. I gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to give it back to me. He's a nice kid. I said, take it. Take care of it. Just don't take it for granted. There's nothing wrong with that. God will get you another one if he so does. If God deems it, it'll happen. If it's his will that you have another one, if he doesn't, then it means it wasn't supposed to be there, because the things that you have are temporary. It's a temporary thing. Lynn, welcome to the show. Can you hear me, Lynn?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
No.
No, we can't hear
We're
you at all.
playing with you. Yes, sir. No, we can't hear you at all. No, we can hear you, Lynn. Go ahead. What do you have? What do you have for us?
So, hey everybody.
Hey.
So I originally joined, was gonna come in to tell a story. Y'all hear an echo?
Well, it's a little bit of an echo, but I mean, it's fine.
I have
You look
everything
like
turned-
you're
I-
inside of a dungeon. Are you being held captive?
Are you
No.
hiding from the authorities?
Blink twice if you need help.
Hold on, no.
And please don't share any information with us that would make us accessories after the fact.
Yes, exactly.
Oh wow!
There you go, Lynn. Look,
There
now
she
you can
is.
see. Yeah, now there she is. You can see her.
I didn't want y'all. I just took a shower, so
Well, that's just be who you are. Come as you are. Nobody's expecting anything special here. It's PRT.
I still hear an echo, and I have everything turned off, including my cell phone.
There's a bit of an echo, but we can hear you. So just
The echo is just from the room.
just go ahead and tell
okay.
us.
Because I have nothing on. Like I have powered off my cell phone, everything.
Mhm.
I have nothing going.
But it looks like a chalkboard behind us. Are you homeschooling or what are you doing there?
No,
Well, just
no. This
Just
used
talk-
to be my dining room, and that used to be a pallet wall back there. I
uh-huh.
recently took all that off and repainted it, and I'm about to do more stuff, but it's still underway.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty color. I like that. Seafoam, isn't that?
It'll look better later. It's a work in progress. Yeah, I can tell you love it.
Sure. Yeah. So what do you have for us, Lynn?
Well, so I originally wanted to tell you about some. This is weird for me because I hear myself repeating me, so I don't know what you hear, so I don't know when to speak.
You know what? Hang on. Let me try adjusting something here real quick.
Let's see what Anthony can do.
Okay, so see if you get an echo if you hear yourself now.
Is this better?
You just give me a mic check. So
All
can
right,
you
y'all
hear?
hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you, but do you still hear like an echo back whenever you speak?
If you got two windows
Just give us a
open,
mic check.
Wait, did you say I have two windows open?
yes. Because if you have the window where the show is going out, there's plus this
Oh,
window.
that's weird though.
Yeah, if you have like another tab, if you have the show playing on a separate tab,
I
then
don't.
okay. But you're saying that every time you speak, you hear your voice back to you?
No, I don't. This is so weird.
Okay. Well, we can hear you just fine on our end, and it seems like the audience can hear you just fine too. So what'd you have to share?
I'm gonna try to go out and come back in because all of y'all and myself were all repeating.
Okay, yeah, that's weird. Maybe try and just make sure that the StreamYard window on your computer is the only thing that's open. Because everyone else hears you just fine.
Yeah, I usually don't have technical difficulties like this, but I'll go out and come back in.
It sounds fine to me. It sounds great.
Yeah.
It doesn't to me. I hear everything that is said from me or any of y'all repeats like 10 seconds later, so it's very distracting.
So do you have, like you already told her about something being turned on? So
yeah. Hang on, let me try and adjust something on our end.
Sailor, how you
mine
doing
is
tonight?
powered- Everything is powered
Good,
off,
how are
like
you?
completely off.
Good,
including
good.
my cell phone.
Hi, Sailor. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
It's nice to see everybody.
Likewise.
Okay.
Yeah, you sound great. My brother just said you Sajowd's great.
Yeah, everything checks out on our end. The audience is hearing you great. If it's echoing on your end, I'm not real sure how to fix that.
Percy. Every time I see that Percy, I think of that clown.
Would you happen to have a set of headphones you could use? That might clear it up.
I don't, but I'm gonna just go out of here and I'll come back in.
Okay.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah.
Don't jump. Don't.
Yeah, because we want to hear what you have to say.
We want to hear what you have to say. Don't leave us hanging.
Yeah, just go on to the next person and I'll come right back in.
Okay, Sailor, what do you got for us?
Thank you.
I'm looking through my book right now.
Sailor, your audio is very, very low. If you have a microphone, maybe you can pull it closer towards you.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because it sounds really muffled too.
Give me 1 second and I'll get the microphone.
Okay.
There was something that came up last night that if we got time after a while, I'd like to address, and it's the effect of people that get involved with doing evil stuff like being part of a coven and the effect, long-term effect that it has on them. And because of, the work that I did for about 20 years as a criminal justice chaplain and counselor, I saw what happened to people. And some of them were just totally destroyed. And I can get into that and explain all of that. But that's one of the downsides. And they think they're aligning themselves with a God that they've chosen, but they've been deceived.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually the ones that were chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, one guy, I'll never forget him. He was having hallucinations. He was schizophrenic. And he had gotten really deep into Satanism and witchcraft. In fact, I think I may have told y'all about the guy that his wife called the prison and talked to me about how she found these human hands in the freezer,
Oh,
and that was a certain satanic ritual that criminal groups do, and they think that it protects them. It's called the hands of glory, is what the sacrifice is referred to as, and they think that it gives them protection. But anyway, this guy he just went completely insane, and he was only about, I think he was 19 years old, and he was toast. He was done for. And there's another thing. There are certain things that I think that you can get involved with, and there's no coming back. Once you've hardened your heart to a certain extent, that's called blasphemy of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
That's what that means in the Bible. That means actually that you have rejected God. And in this guy's case, he had willingly chosen the other side. He didn't just reject the Holy Spirit. He actually went into battle against the Holy Spirit by being involved in a satanic coven group. And it's interesting. I've seen it destroy an entire family. There was a group in Copper's Cove, close to us, that the family was involved in it. And there's always a sexual component, and it's usually deviant sexual components. It's a highway to hell. That's all I can say. And these people that think they're getting power, and that's what the lure is to them. I think maybe they felt powerless in their life. They were bullied and abused, and they think that this gives them power, but they don't know the cost.
Mm-hmm. It could destroy more than a family. It could destroy an entire community.
Yep. And these covens, they go into churches and they target people.
They do.
And
not everybody in the church is a good person, and just because they say they pray, you don't know who they're praying to. That's another issue.
Yeah.
Well, there's a prayer of deliverance for secret enemies. It's Psalm 64.
Mm-hmm.
And hear me, O God, as I voice my complaint. Protect my life from the threat of the enemy. Hide me from the conspiracy of the wicked, from that noisy crowd of evildoers. They sharpen their tongues like swords and aim their words like deadly arrows. They shoot from ambush at the innocent man. They shoot at him suddenly without fear. They encourage each other in evil plans. They talk about hiding their snares. They say, who will see them? They plot injustice and say, we have devised a perfect plan. Surely the mind and heart of man are cunning, but God will shoot them with arrows. Suddenly they will be struck down. He will turn their own tongues against them and bring them to ruin. All who see them will shake their heads in scorn. All mankind will fear. They will proclaim the works of God and ponder what he has done. Let the righteous rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. Let all the upright in heart praise him.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's just, a lot of the stuff that, Josh, that you and your family have been experiencing as of late. I think it's pretty well covered in Psalm 64.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to take heart in the fact that you are not in it alone, that the Lord is with you. And I think that a lot of things that God has set up a system, and it's pretty automatic. In fact, I used to teach a course called Systematic Theology, and I believe that people who do evil things will eventually undo themselves.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's kind of like the old karma thing about what goes around comes around. Well, play with fire long enough and you're going to get burned. But I just wanted to share that with you because of some of the stuff that was said last night. And we kind of ran out of time before I had a chance to really get into that. And I was just on the keyboard, not hooked into the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the people that have been attacking us, they think that we're in some sort of competition, and we're not. I don't know what game they're playing, and I don't care.
I think it's a power play.
I mean, you know, one of them is like, I'm going to do a show and at the same time you do, and I'm going to have more views. You will have more views. I promise you 100% you will have more views than me on that show. It's called buying views. Really easy to do. You can go buy them, and that's what you do.
They're called bot networks in China and India.
Yep. There's a lot of people who, and every time he says that that's going to happen, it happens. It's not because he's a prophet or because he's good at what he does. It's because he goes and buys the views. And it's like, I don't care. You know, the only reason I even saw it was it ended up in PRT News because somebody sent it. And I don't, if you haven't noticed, I'm not really participating in their war. It's a war against me. They have wished every evil, vile thing upon me and my family. They have vomited the most just horrible things they could cough up. If you sat around and let your mind wander into the devil's workshop, they're not in the workshop. They're in the devil's, like, as in Spanish, they would call it a maquiladora. They're in his factory, you know. And they are just vomiting up every vile lie that they could possibly dream up. Because if you were to hate someone so bad and you just sat around and you didn't work, because none of them work, and you just sat around thinking of vile, evil things, and the lying that goes on, it's astounding.
Oh, something else, Josh. It took me an hour to find the show tonight. I started checking at about 8:45, and I came in about an hour after y'all started, and I couldn't find the show on YouTube. I even went to your YouTube page, and the show wasn't showing anywhere. Home videos, live. I don't
That's
know what
becoming a recurring theme, Tony. A lot of people are being unsubscribed. A lot of people are saying that they can't find the show. They're not getting their notifications. We're being suppressed in every shape or form. And these people are, but if you want to find their shows, it's right there, you know, because they're not doing anything. They're not saying anything that's pertinent to helping humanity in any shape or form. So of course you can find their crap, you know. You can find somebody twerking and acting a fool real easy. But when someone is telling you this is what the word and you need to hear it, then that's being suppressed.
You think they're suppressing Christian programming?
Absolutely. And like I said, those people, they claim they're Christians, but they're not because they don't talk or do anything Christian-like. They just say words. And so, yeah, they're not being suppressed, but they're mass reporting us constantly, and our sub count is down to, like, I think 196 a month or something. It's going to take us 5 months to get 1,000 views, 1,000 subs. So we probably won't hit 50 at this rate. We won't hit 50,000 for a long time. Now I can do things about that. I can make the rounds and go on other people's shows, but I don't have the time, you know. And everywhere I go, every step I take, these people are dogging me out, and they go to the people who they think are going to work with me, and they try to destroy it. And now this one guy, I'm not going to say any of their names, but he's saying that I put curses on good people, you know, good people. There's these three guys, and he said that I cursed them, and I did it publicly. That is the most asinine. They say things that are just blatant lies. And then the sad part for me is that he says these things, and then he gets these people, and some of them I recognize as people who used to be listeners of the show, and they jump on there and they say the most vile crap about me based on what this guy is saying. And I'm sitting there looking at that. I'm like, this is all lies. Like, none of this is true. Like, I just that the only part that hurts. I don't care what he says because he's a reprobate. But the people that get on there and say the things, and you're going like, man, these people know me. They know this isn't correct. How could you believe this guy?
Well, it's one of the thinking errors that sociopaths use. They project their evil activities onto another person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just standard operating procedure. I've seen that so many times. It's a standard thinking error that they have. And there's a whole list of thinking errors that sociopaths use.
That's I was going to say that's also a page out of the communist playbook. Accuse your enemy of what you're doing.
Well, they're
It's like
even
a preemptive
accusing
strike.
preemptively. Yeah, they're accusing us of things that they go out and do.
Rules
Like
for radicals, man.
Subsequently, like they do these things, and I'm sitting there going like, and at times you just kind of laugh, especially when they talk about me. Like they really aren't hurting my feelings. Like I don't care. They've built these narratives. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, they started building a narrative that we were out to kill them or get them or whatever. What planet do you live? Like, how are you important enough to have someone go assassinate you? Like, what? That doesn't even compute for me. I mean, it's like, dude, why would I do that? Like, why would I throw my life away for some people who don't amount to anything? Like, and they never will. Like, I don't understand where they get off with this. And I
was trying to do that to you.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I've had to cancel conferences and things like that. I couldn't go because of the threats, and it's like I have actually been really threatened. And a bunch of people watched it on Abe's show. This guy called up and threatened. The things he was saying were so horrible. I mean, and people act like, like the ones that are saying these things in this guy's comment section. Are these people? Are they not paying attention? And Elizabeth Ann, Jerry and Ella Williams, she said it best. She was like, only one family has had to move because of the attacks. Only one family has been threatened over and over and over. It's only been one group of people who've had this happen.
Yeah.
And all of this, they haven't had this happen. And then they have the audacity to. I know they know that they're lying. Because they're backing each other's lies up, but they say that we're going over there into their chats and fake with whatever. I'm like, that's their MO.
Nobody wants to be there.
Dude, I have things to do. Okay. I literally have 3 businesses to run. How would I waste my time to go into a chat? I've only seen this person show once ever in my life, once or twice, maybe. And
they suffer from magical thinking.
Was like, how many people were in there? It was like maybe 12 or something. Why would you go into somebody's chat with that kind of and say things that don't like it? It's so like it blows your mind like that they would even try it, but they do, and then people back them up, and I'm just like, what is this? We're over here at PRT and we're trying to do things and we're trying to get things done, and they're over there playing around. I don't know what they do because I don't look at their shows. I don't.
Well, they're just
walking around or something. I don't know. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's narcissistic delusion, man.
Yep. Well, it's there's a term for it in psychology. It's called magical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
They're in this world that they've created, and it's all going on between their ears, and it's we call it magical thinking. It's just some of the most outrageous, illogical stuff that and like I said, these people, the more they do this evil stuff, the worse they get. They destroy themselves.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So let's just change. And I appreciate you, Tony, saying that and bringing up the psalm. And it's but it is a waste of energy. Somebody just said it in the chat here, Mish. And I want to clear something up here, and because I'm a man of integrity, I'm going to tell you something. Well, he says, Wolf, I'll tell you what. I'm a good judge of character. You tell the truth. Vic Cundiff trusts you. No, he doesn't. Vic Cundiff doesn't like me. He doesn't like me. I don't like him, but I don't dislike him. I forgive him. But something happened between me and him when my mother passed away, and he did not say anything about my mother. These people keep trying to latch onto that. No, what he did was he said, and I believe him. I believe what he said. He said that people said that I was saying on my show that I didn't like him. And he did not come to me and say, hey, Wolf, we've been friends for a few years. Did you say these things? No. He just makes a post on the day that my mother dies and denounces me and says that I basically said that he didn't like me. He said that I said I didn't like him and I got attacked. So I spent the day that my mother died being attacked by his listeners for being a jerk. And that was a horrible day for me. And these people latched onto that, and they keep saying, there's no proof of it. We have the screenshot of what he said, and he doubled down on it. And then there was another post that was made. But he took it down, and I don't want to get all into it, but I just saw that in the comment section, and I thought I should address it. I don't want somebody to be deceived. We are not friends. I am of the opinion that the people that are attacking me now were the ones behind that, because we found proof that they were attacking us going all the way back to 2021, which is the year that my mother died. And they used these fake accounts. So I'm pretty sure that one of these people in particular, what they did was they went to Vic, this is my opinion, and they told him that I said some things and I didn't. And they said that I said them on my show, and I didn't. I didn't say I didn't like him. That's what he said. I said I didn't like him. I never said I didn't like him.
Yeah, that was a lie.
That was a lie. And sad that he didn't do the research enough to go and look.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, he threw an old friend under the bus. Because I was his friend. I was loyal, and I was his friend. I would have never done that to him, ever in a million years. It's a very painful memory, a very painful thing. And my enemies even capitalized on that. And after they set me up, oh well. But I was a fool. It was me. I was a fool for being so bitter and angry, and my mother having died. I just was shattered, and I was so angry. There was no secret that me and my mother had problems, but the last few years of her life, we had worked it out. I think it's a lesson, though, for all of us in humanity and in humility, and in, I think, being humbled. You think life would have been a lot easier if me and Vic would have stayed friends? I think it would have. But he has his own battles. He's fought with a lot of people, and that's between him and them. I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, I had issues, whatever. My life might have been different. Things might have been easier for me, because I think there was a rift that was created there, and a lot of his loyal listeners just hate my guts now. And but I didn't attack him. I didn't. It's been a very hard road for me. And there were people I trusted early on because I was stumbling and trying to find my feet in this field, and I thought they were being nice, and they were leading me like a lamb to slaughter, trying to get me tore up. And they laid traps, and some of those people are still buzzing around trying to help these other people hamstring me. And if you asked any one of them why they hate me, they'll give you a litany of reasons, but not one of them is worth a crap. Not one of them is a damn good reason. Not one. They'll give you a million reasons, but not one of them is a good one. And they'll lay it all at my doorstep and say that this war that they've waged for 2 years, that I started it. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I did not. I defended Bettina and Abe. That's what I did. I did what was right. And I've had people ask me, would I do it again after all this? Yes, I would, because it's what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to be doing the right thing. But I can't seem to get a handful of people together to do that. That's what really pisses me off. because everybody it all falls apart. They want to do for themselves. I have a group of friends that I can trust, that I can, that I'm with, but I just can't trust anybody else because people are so sneaky and so underhanded, and you just sit there and go, dude, like, I don't know. I try to do what's right. That's it. I just try, and the people that are, I'm not talking about all these miscreants, whatever, people that are in charge of everything, they have the power. And once you're on their radar, they're going to do everything they can, because if you're over the target, you're going to catch the most flack. And if
I
people
was
can't,
thinking that a while ago while you were talking.
I think that this is my opinion. I think the person that started this with Bettina and Abe is the one that had done that to me. He tried to tell me that Help and Holler was making an alliance against me. He was going from channel to channel, stirring up trouble, and he's the one that messaged Vic and lied. I think he's been behind it the whole time. And we have, not a solid proof because he uses fake accounts and he's very good at it. But there are some people that they hate me so bad that it doesn't matter. What they're going to do is they're going to go along with this guy no matter what he's done. They're going to go along with him because it's all about hating me. I could cure cancer and they would run out and try to get cancer just to spite me. Put it that way. And that's okay, man. He says, man, Wolf, I didn't know any of this. I wish I did, and I wouldn't have mentioned his name. I'm a straight shooter. We're a good listener. You've got my number. Do I? Doc, it's not. It's nothing. It's not your fault. You didn't know. But I saw the comments in there, and I know people are going to be opportunistic and jump on that and say, oh, well, no, Vic doesn't like him. Well, no, he doesn't. And I don't like him. I don't hate the guy. I dislike some things about him, and the biggest one being he could have contacted me instead of making it public. He could have contacted me and said, hey, I'm sorry your mother died. Somebody sent me a message saying you don't like me. And I would have told him, Vic, that's not true.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that, did he?
And to be completely fair, when that happened, I had actually made a post myself and giving him the benefit of the doubt. And I said, look, either I understand maybe the timing on this was bad. So one of two things have happened with this situation. I posted this publicly. I said either you knew that this was the very day that Wolf's mother, my grandmother, has passed away, and you made a conscious decision to make this post on this day because you wanted to provoke an emotional response from him, and you wanted to take advantage of that. That's one thing that could have happened. And if that did happen, that's very, very evil and very wrong. But the other thing that could have happened is that you didn't know. And if you didn't know, then the timing of it is not your fault. But at the very least, out of human decency, you do owe him and me an apology for becoming antagonistic on such a it was a very tough day. And the way, my Uncle Wolf has stated publicly that him and her, they did not have the best relationship. But me and her, she went above and beyond to be kind to me. And I think that it's probably subconsciously she was trying to make up for the past by throwing so much unconditional love to me. And she was a very important person to me.
And Mijo, I always told you that don't ever judge my mother by how she treated me.
Yeah.
I always said that. I told you, I told Christian, I told all of y'all, my nieces and nephews. I said, look, the way that she did with me was not. It was a different time. It was a different person. It was before she had her near-death experience. And damn, this is an emotional show.
But
she changed.
Yeah,
she did. And Anthony, you saw her a handful of times be very word is, hard on me. And it made you feel bad. And, but I tried to do what was right. And I always said, look, judge the relationship with her the way she treats you, not by the way she treated me. I look like my dad. And that was and it's a very human thing. And folks, you got to understand something. When you have a child, that child cannot help if he looks like someone you despise. That was the hardest thing, because my mother, she looked at me and she saw my dad. And, it was really hard because it was like, you look like your dad. And it was like, she hated my dad with a passion. And I looked like him. And I got treated differently than siblings that didn't look like him. That was the problem. So I forgive her. I forgive her because she admitted this before she died too. She told my wife, she told me, she was like, she's like, I was very ignorant. It was a very ignorant thing to do. And in the end, I was there all the way up to the end. I was never one of those people. I promise you, I never wanted their validation. I wasn't ever trying to get my dad, tell me that you love me, Dad, or tell me that you're proud of me. I never gave a shit about that. I didn't. My mother was that person that I wanted her to care about me when I was little, and in the way that she cared about my sisters, it never happened. I gave up, and I just went on with my life. I had a coach when I was young who he told me, he's like, you don't need to have the validation of the world. You know who you are. He said, you're the top. This is the coach I had. He died. It was Matt Turner. He was a black guy, but he would always make a joke, say, this is my son. He's a joker. He's a boxing coach. And he was a very good guy. And he opened up his home to me, and my home life was shit. And so I would go and stay at their house sometimes. And when he died of cancer, it was I never got mad at God. All these people that I cared about would die and go away. And I didn't have them in my life. Can I get that, please? And he was another one that passed away way too soon. And I just, and I had an uncle that I was really close to, but he was always in and out of prison, and he wasn't always around. He said the same thing to me. He was like, you don't need the world to validate who you are. You don't need a woman in your life to validate your existence. And you don't need your parents to tell you that they're proud of you. I played baseball. I played all these sports, and I would look up at the stands and see my parents there. My dad worked all the time, so I had an excuse. But my mother said, oh, I don't understand it. That was a lie, because she coached my sister's softball team. So it was a bitter pill. And toward the end of her life, she would talk to my spouse, Nellie, and she told her the things she did to me. She admitted to her. It was hard for her. I know it was hard for her to sit there and express and tell my wife that what she did. I forgave her. And everything I do and say, I know on this show, I will be judged in the court of my peers, and these people never miss an opportunity to attack, and they'll attack me for this. That's okay. God bless you. I forgive you, because I know that no matter how bad my suffering has been, Christ suffered way more than any of us. And his suffering goes beyond anything. So that's all I could ever do, is look toward that and say, hey, the world hated him first. And we all need to know that. Remember that when the world persecutes you, and I've made my mistakes. These people issued some edict the other day that they would talk to me, which I don't know why I want to talk to these people, but if I said that it was all my fault and I apologize for all the horrible things I did and said, I'll tell you this, I'll apologize for any horrible things I did and said, even though 99.9% of it was the truth, with a little bit of hatred thrown in there because I was angry. And I forgive them for the things that they've done and said to me It's not my place to forgive them for what they've done and said to my wife or to my nephews, trying to pin a felony on my nephews. They did that. For the lying and the horrible things that they've done, the relationships and friendships that they've dashed and destroyed. One guy in particular, like, I can't even imagine the karmic debt he has and the sin that's on him. I can't even fathom it. I have never sat up here and said I was a perfect person. I'm just a person, and I have screwed up. I have made mistakes. I have sinned. I've admitted to it. Like, I've sat up here and said my sin, and they've, and instead of them going like, yeah, we've sinned too, we've done things, blah, blah, blah. Not one of them has ever come clean and said they've done anything wrong in their life. Like a bunch of Pharisees. They just point the finger and go, look, he admitted that he did bad. Yeah, because we all do. And I'm not sitting up here going like, well, now it's your turn, because I know that their reprobate mind is not going to let them do that. It's not. And that's fine. For years and years and years, I endured that with my parents and with other relatives who committed horrible sins against me, and they never copped to anything they did. One of my aunts had a husband who was very abusive, physically abusive to her and physically abusive to me. He put my hand on a stove. He burnt, I still have the scars. He burnt my hands. And I remember when he passed, and one of my cousins asking me if it felt good that he was dead. And I said, no, it feels good to know that I'm safe from a villain, but I had been safe from him for a long time. But it didn't feel good because he never got himself right with God. And even at a young age, I thought about that, and I thought, this guy's in hell. If there is one, he's there. The ruination of a person's soul is nothing to rejoice about. It's not. Even when that person dies and they're a horrible villain, you just got to think, man, what a waste. Because he was clever. He could have done a lot of things for people, but he chose to do evil. He chose the path of wickedness.
And the darkness won with that person. That's the tragedy of it.
Yeah. The darkness won another one.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are doing these things, I don't want them to be destroyed and go into the pit. Even, I'm going to tell you something, and this may sound like I'm blowing hot air, but addressing you, the people who are doing these things, even if you were to be cast into hell, if God gave me the opportunity, I'd burn my arm off to pull you out if I thought that it would help you to change, because now you've seen it. But we know that there's people who, even with that, they won't change. The minute that they get back out, they're going to do what they're going to do. Have you ever seen that movie, the latest one with King Kong, where he's with Godzilla and they fight those crazy apes or whatever?
Yeah.
You remember how he reached down and he helped that one gorilla off of the cliff?
Yeah.
Nellie leaned over to me and she's like, that's you. And then immediately that gorilla starts attacking him again. And then Kong's like, he kicks him off.
Yeah.
And then Nellie goes, and that's you too. Like, because enough is enough. Like, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to help you. But damn, dude, don't bite my fingers off after I reach out and try to help you. Because I'm hoping that you will change. I'm hoping that you will become something else. This isn't a competition for me. This is not. I swear. I'm not supposed to swear. I know it's wrong, but I promise you, I am not in competition with you. There is no, you are not my rivals.
No.
You are attacking us, and I have begged you publicly to stop. And the only thing we can do is take what you say and repost it so people see, so that when you, in your quest to make me a villain, people will see that I'm a flawed man like everybody else. I'm not Jesus. But damn, dude, enough is enough. You have drug my family through the coals, and then when we retaliate and fight back, and it burns. It does, doesn't it? When you get a taste of your own medicine, you cry foul. And then you double down and you do more and more and more and more. You attack me at every turn. You take bites out of me every chance you get. And I'm strong. You're like horseflies biting, naga hide. You're not going to hurt me. The only thing you can do is attack the people that I love and that I care about and that I'm close to. Y'all have called my business partner, a 73-year-old man, into the wee hours of the morning until he had to like unplug his phone.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make you feel good about yourself? To threaten my wife's life? To vandalize our vehicles? You win. Like, I mean, you've done enough. You've destroyed our algorithms. You've done everything you can at the behest of what? The devil? What is your end game here? To kill me? Because you want me to die. You wish I would die. But have you ever stopped and even asked yourselves why? Truly, just stop and look in the mirror and ask yourself, why do I want Josh Turner dead? Why? What is your purpose?
What does it benefit you?
What does it benefit you if you destroy me? And what do you think my listeners are just going to go all and go and be your followers after you do these things to me? What purpose is this? You know, I could pull out receipts too. I could show you the money that I gave to help a couple of these people. Money hand over fist because you needed it. I gave it to you. You bled me dry, and then you freaking turn around and stab me in the back. And then make posts that you've reported me to the authorities. And any day now, I'm going to jail for some conspiracy because you are so out of your damn minds and you're so evil. It's not even funny. It's just, it's a tragedy.
Yeah, because it's like how exactly is the destruction of another human being going to bring you fulfillment in life? Have you ever stopped, and I mean any of you, all of you, everyone who hates and despises us, talking to you, have you actually asked yourself this question? How is the destruction of another human being, of my fellow man, going to bring me fulfillment in life? How is this person's destruction going to make me a better person? How is it going to help the people that I love and care about? Have you asked yourself that? And what does it actually say about you if you believe that it's going to bring you true fulfillment to destroy Josh Turner, to destroy PRT, whatever you want to do? Have you thought about what that says about you? If you think that that's going to improve your life in any way? Because if you think that we are your enemy, then let me give you some advice. You need to have higher standards for who you call your enemy. Let me show you the difference between us and between you. See, you look at Josh Turner and say, he's my enemy. You look at PRT and you say, they are my enemy. You look at the paratroopers and say, they are my enemy. But you know what we look at and see as our enemy? And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think I speak for everyone here when I say this. What I look at as my enemy is my own bad thoughts, my own bad words, my own bad habits, my own bad decisions, and the unclean spiritual beings that attack me because of the spiritual openings that I have created with my own bad thoughts, words, and decisions. Those are my enemy. That is my standard for what I call my enemy. We are not in competition with you because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. There's some scripture for you. Remember that. You are not worthy of being our enemy. You are just a man, nor are we worthy of being yours. We're just flesh and blood men. Wrestling against that is beneath us. This is what we have been taught by Christ. And if you were true Christians, as you claim to be, as you make a show out of telling everyone that you are a Christian, you would understand that, and I would not have to be sitting here explaining this to you. But think about it. What does it say about you that you wholeheartedly seek the destruction of your fellow man? Because make no mistake, I know in my heart and in my mind that you would absolutely rejoice at the death of my uncle right here. The man sitting across from me, if he died, you would all feel this sick joy in your hearts. And it does not have to be that way. You choose that. You make that decision for yourself.
And what does that say when you hate a guy who does a talk show? Like, I mean, like you said, higher standards.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything. We're just, and we do show after show after show, and nothing to do with these people. But they watch every bit of it. We don't watch them. We don't go to them. As God is my witness, I don't stalk your chats. I don't care. It doesn't have anything to do with me, except when you bring me up, and I don't go running over there with running over there to evil to see what it is, because I don't care. My life is like it's a blur. I wake up, I get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, I hit the ground running, I'm on the phone with business partners. There's a lot going on in my life. I don't have time. I don't have time for this warring and fighting. I just don't. Lynn, it sounds like you got your computer going there. What you want to talk? I'm sorry, we got all carried away here on this other tangent. Tony, though, thank you for bringing. I don't wouldn't have said anything, but thank you for the scripture and thank you for caring, Chaplain Tony. Lynn, do you want to talk about something? You want to tell us what's going on? Lynn, are you there?
Can you hear us, Lynn?
She sent a message and said she'll come back another time.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We'll let Lynn go. Sailor, did you have something you want to talk about before we bounce?
I'll save it for next week.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean for the show to take this emotional turn. It wasn't supposed to be.
Well, it's good to vent.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever need to apologize for that, Wolf, because I know you go through a lot of shit, and I have a lot of respect for you. So don't ever apologize for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate everybody being understanding. True just popped back in. True, you got bounced. This was a weird show. Mondays are always kind of weird anyway, and it just happens.
They just go where they go.
I'm going to tell you this, folks. I'm never going to sit up here and blow smoke and tell you that I'm a perfect person. I'm so good and holy. I'm on my knees praying 4 hours a day. Who the hell does that?
Yeah,
that's a lie. I would be lying if I told you that. And if I told you that I had lived a righteous and godly life, dude, I was a freaking hellraiser who did all kinds of bullshit. And I was just as quick to throw fists with somebody as talk to them or take a shot with them. To sit there and pretend like that you lived a godly life up to this point, you were a saint. That is not true. And when I die, I'm not going to be sanctified by the church. I can tell you that. All I'm doing now is trying to live my life as best as I can. But I have friends from the old days, and I never really thought that they looked at me this way, but I was talking to one of them the other day on the phone. And actually, you and Tony were in the kitchen doing some stuff, and you probably heard part of the conversation. And he said something to me that was shocking. Like, I guess because I don't really look at it that way. But he told me, he says, you always had a moral compass.
Mm-hmm.
He said that. And he's like, you would do things, but if you could avoid something, you would. And I didn't really think of that. I always thought I was just kind of a bad guy back in the day, because of my anger and quick to deal with problems a certain way. And but I guess I did, to a degree. But I definitely have it now, and I try to do what's right. And when someone asks me a question, I'm not going to ever tell you to go punch somebody or go grab a gun or a knife or do something violent. And I'd strongly discourage anybody. It's not going to do you any good. If you get into a fight with somebody and you hurt them, they're going to go grab a weapon. I promise you, that's what the world is now. And then
Mhm.
or if you do something, you have a knife, they're going to grab a gun. If you grab a gun, then they're going to go get an assault weapon. It doesn't matter. It just keeps going, or they'll run you over or whatever, because people are the way that they are. They are the way that they are. And it says it in the Bible, in the New Testament, that men are brutal and they're going to be worse and worse and worse. And
Yeah,
at
leave
some
old
point,
people alone too.
yeah, I mean,
We're
at some
scared.
point, I got to the point where I was like, I'm sick of this out eviling. Everybody's trying to out evil each other. What happened to trying to just do right?
Mm-hmm.
And that really got me thinking, and trying to follow the teachings of Christ. Folks, I had somebody tell me, this is very important. I want everybody to hear this. She was telling me the other day, was a witness, and I haven't told her story yet. But she said, it's so hard to try to be like Christ. And I said, that what you're doing is trying to be Christ. And that's not what he said. Christ is trying to tell you just the guidelines of trying to be like him so that you can get to where you need to be. None of us are going to be Jesus. There was only one Christ. That's it. They're not making any more. And it's not your job to be a saint or an apostle even, and definitely not your job to be the Messiah. All you can do is try to live the life the best you can. I told her, I said, you sin every day. I sin every day. We fail. We make the mistakes. Try to be in prayer as much as you can. She says, well, I feel guilty. I don't pray more. I said, all you can do is what you can do. Now, you don't give yourself these outs, because that goes back to the whole comfort thing. Some people, they have to be comfortable to do things. You will never do those things if you have to have the planets all in alignment and everything has to be perfect and you have to have the right. Then you'll never do it. You'll never build that house if you don't have the right kind of nail and the right kind of wood. You take what God gives you and you build it. That's it. You know what I mean? I mean, you have to take what's given to you and make something with it. Some of the best people I've ever known came from absolute nothing. Nothing. And some of the greatest people that built this country, they were immigrants from, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, immigrants built this country. I'm talking about Irish and Asian people, Black people, Mexican people that literally worked the fields. They dug ditches. The Italian immigrants that built, half of New York was built by the Italian immigrants. These people, they came here with nothing, and they were happy to be here. And when I was reading about these people that were building the Union Pacific out in Anson and they got scalped, those poor people came here and became slaves, indentured servants, these Asian workers. And then they were murdered by a group of people who were being pushed aside and felt disenfranchised by the world around them, the Comanches. Very brutal. And they took it out on those people. And so oftentimes in life, the wrong people get attacked by the people that are angry and disenfranchised that they're not, and then the people that are responsible just walk away scot-free. And those people keep on throughout history getting away with it and getting away with it and getting away with it. And I can't say enough about how the human condition, if we would stop judging the shit out of each other and actually really love one another and have a love foundation, like one of my colleagues is always saying, and truly build on that and cut people some freaking slack. The other day, I walked in a convenience store, and it was when the lotto. Remember, it was not at the convenience store, the grocery store, and it was the lotto was real big. It was like $1 billion, right? So it was a line of people, not a big line, but 3 or 4 people. And this one guy, he cut right in front of me. And I'm not like in a huge hurry, but I got things to do too. And I said, excuse me. I was like, you cut in front. He turned and looks at me, and obviously he didn't speak English. And so I told him in Spanish, and he still didn't respond. And I looked at him and I thought, I don't think he's Hispanic, whatever. And he told me, he says, no, he goes, no, I hear. And I said, okay, you're here. I get that, but you cut. I said, you know what? I don't even care. The lady behind me said something, and then the guy was with her went around me and started jostling this guy. And I told him, I said, look, I don't care. I said, you can be in front of me, okay? You just go in front. Don't push this dude. He just, what is this going to solve? And then security came, you know, and I just said, look, I tried media. So it's a misunderstanding. This guy, he just, you know, well, apparently he had been in line, but he had gone and did something and come right back. And he just went right back to where he was at. And I walked up and I was behind the lady in front of me. And I told that guy behind me, I said, go ahead and get in front of me. I don't care. He goes, well, I got things to do. I said, so do I. We all do. We have a lot to do. But you don't know this man, and you don't know what he's going through, and you don't know what kind of day he's going to turn this into for you. And he goes, well, it's going to be a bad one for him. I said, it could be, or it could be a bad one for all of us. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I said, all I want to do is just buy some lotto tickets. And if I win, maybe I can help make the world a better place. I don't know, you know, and not have to work my ass to death, you know, like I'm doing now. And we started talking, and I told him about the show, and his wife was like, oh, I'm really interested in that kind of stuff. They were nice people. They were from Lakeway. We talked or whatever, and got a couple weird stories while we were waiting. It didn't take too long, and the guy shook his head like, thank you, and he walked away. And that other dude behind me kind of snarled at him. And I said, dude, it's not worth it at the end of the day. Why? Because I know in my heart that I could have beat the hell out of everybody in line if I really wanted to. What good is that going to do? What is that going to solve? Is it going to resolve anything at all? No. It's going to get you in trouble, going to jail, possibly prison, pressing charge, or you could die. You could be unalived because someone's going to go out to their car and come back because they've had enough and they're fed up and they're sick of traffic and they're sick of bills and they're sick of taxes. And guess what? They come into the store and bang, 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 and we all are killed. Or there's a shootout or who the hell knows what. So the best thing you can do is just slow the hell down, you know, and just take your time. Life is short, and if we waste it fighting with everybody and arguing and whatever, you know, you're not going to have a happy life. And like I said, happiness is really just in the perspective. Like for me, not being harassed and messed with for a day would be a godsend at this point. If I could just not have to see these people attack the people that I care about, attack my wife, attack those that I love. My wife, she doesn't even want me to, she really does not want me talking about this, but they said if she's so ill, my wife has a tumor. Do you understand? This isn't about being sick or not sick. And she's still trying to defend me. She has days where she can't walk out of bed. And she's still trying to defend me. And you have no mercy at all. But I don't care about your mercy because I never asked my dad to tell me he was proud of me. I never asked my mother to tell me. My mother told me one time, what is it you want from me? I said, for you to be a decent person. She might have thought that conversation was going to go different. For you to tell me you love me, mother, I don't need you to tell me that. I figured it out a long time ago that that's not what I was looking for. All I wanted was for her to be a decent person. And she's like, why? I said, because I don't want you to go to hell. And then she turned it on me and says, well, what about you? You do it. I said, exactly, because I'm headed there. I told her at that time I was. I said, I want to see you in another plane of existence where we are enlightened and not like this. And she just told me, you're a strange person. And she walked off. You know, but it was the truth. I gave my whole heart to her. I gave my whole heart to my mother and my dad. And I forgave them because they were ignorant people. My dad is he admits it, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's an honest guy. He sat there and told Anthony, he goes, I was a sorry bastard.
Yeah.
He told my nephew that. He said that. He goes, I treated him like shit. I was a sorry bastard. He doesn't pull any punches on himself. That's a man that can stand there and judge himself. And he's like, I screwed up. I didn't do things correctly. I was mean as hell. And he apologized to me many times. He's like, I hit you a lot. I didn't know how to deal with things. He said, you have every right to hate me. I said, I don't hate you. I hate the way you were. I hated the things that you did, but I don't hate you. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate these people that are attacking us because I know what's going to happen. In the end, when you are in a bad place, I've seen it. You're going to be suffering in a way that I can't even comprehend, and I don't want to. And by the same token, I don't know that God's going to be happy enough with me to let me in. I don't know. We don't know. We hope and we pray and we think, yeah, we're going to make it. But you don't know that. Some people really know that and they believe that, and that's great. But I see gaping holes in their plan. And if you try to tell them, hey, you got some issues there, they're going to tell you that you're judging them. And in a point of fact, you are. Now, are you doing it from a Pharisaic point of so you can be better than them, or are you doing it because you actually care and love them and want to see them succeed? I love people and I love animals. Some people will use the cop out. I love animals, but I hate people. I used to do that. I used to hate people. I used to say that I hated people, but I really hate people. I don't. I love people. That's why I do this show. I love you guys. I love you, Richard. I love Tony.
Love you too, brother.
True, Sailor, all of you. You're decent human beings. You're trying to make it in this world. That's all we can do. We're not perfect, but you know what? Think of it this way. We got each other, right? Here we are on a Monday night, and we're all talking and we're hanging out. There's a lot of other things we could be doing. And people that are watching, we don't have a whole lot of people watching right now, but people will watch the replay. If you could reach just a few thousand people every time you did a show, you're doing your job. YouTube is chosen to, slow us down. And I know why. And that's fine because you're going to reach who you're going to reach. And that's it. That's all you can do. And at the end of the day, when my day comes, I can say that I did the best I could with what I was given. And I hope that everybody in the chat can do that too. And you can say, look, I did the best I could with what I was given, and I chose to do the right thing for the most part. Now, did I choose to do the right thing every time we got attacked? Hell no, absolutely not. I fired back. I said things and I did things out of anger, out of freaking anger. It happens. So I'm not innocent in the way that, but I'm not the person that's claiming that they are either. I've never claimed that. But did I start this? No, I did not. And by the same token, I can't prove 100% who did that with Vic. I don't know, but I have my suspicions. And it looks pretty like the same people did this to me. Made him, say no, but they didn't make him do and say what he said. He had an opportunity to change it. He didn't.
Yeah.
But they set it up. And he took the bait. But before you judge him, I did the same thing with Hellbent Holler. I'm going to tell you something very uncomfortable for me. This man from Oklahoma, the one that causes a lot of problems, I'm not going to say his name. He told me that Jesse and Joe Doyle had went to him and had plotted and schemed to try to take me down. And I was being attacked by different people at that time. I didn't know who was who. I didn't know which way was up. I didn't realize it was just him. And I went on my show and I said things about Jesse. Yeah, I did. And then Joe Doyle and me got on the phone and he lit my ass on fire. And when I say he lit my ass on fire, Joe doesn't just start screaming and yelling. He makes valid points and he bitch slaps you with the truth. And he told me, he says, let me tell you something. You can listen to me or you can sit there and just be in your anger and your whatever. He says, or you can shut the fuck up and listen to me. Excuse my language. And I listened to him. And he says, you're listening to some bozo talk about me and my wife, and you're believing this guy's words. He said, how stupid is that? He said, you need to get out of your anger and you need to open your freaking eyes and pay attention to who's doing what. before you go off half-cocked and say something. Now, I had my excuses, but you know what? Those were just excuses. That's all they were. And I said, Joe, I'm getting attacked. I don't know who's friend, who's foe. He said, when have we ever been your enemy? I said, you haven't. He goes, and you're going to believe some guys. It was very convincing the way he says it, because he's an accomplished liar. And Joe said, that's not my problem. That's your problem, that you believed it and you said something. And I publicly apologized. And to this day, I am very sorry for that. And I'm sorry to Vic Cundiff, even though I still think he, like Anthony said, he should have made it right. But I'm sorry for anything I may have said bad about him or any of these other people, whether it was justified or not. But I am not one of those people that's going to sit here and take your shit, especially when you bring my family into it. That's the thing. Because you can slap me all day long. I don't care. I don't really care. When I was young, I was a teenager. There were these group of guys who didn't like me, and they were older. They were in between me and my sister's age. And there was a pack of them. What was I going to do? And they'd beat me up, they threw my backpack into the pond. I was like 14. These people are like 17, 18, whatever. They wouldn't get me to fight, because if I would have punched one of them, they would have all just beat the living holy hell out of me. So what am I going to do? One of them liked my sister, one of my sisters. And they were like, oh, you won't fight. So you know what they did? They went after my sister to get me to fight. I was a kid. What was it worth it to them? Because my sister had rejected one of them, and so they bullied me. They didn't get her a response from her, because my sister is just not that way. But when they attacked my sister, the next time I saw them, I fought them. Then I got the hell beat out of me, but two of them got obliterated. And I focused on them because they were the main two, and I got the better of them, hardcore better of them. I ended up getting thrown in jail for that as a kid. I went to juvie for that. But that's how they got me. They knew where my goat was tied. They knew that if they attacked my sister and they went after people that I cared about, that I would react. Now, my sister's boyfriend at that time, he was no punk, and he took care of the rest. But that's how they got me to fight. It's still that way. I don't give a shit. You can say what you want. They talk about my head. They say that I'm all kinds of stuff, that I'm gay. I hang out at the Iron Bear. Nobody on God's green earth has ever seen me in any of these places that they claim that there's all these, they say that the narratives they create, the fantasies that they come up with. They say that I say things that I've never said. And I don't give a shit. And they think that, and now they're saying that we have made up a narrative about Nellie. I wish that was true. I wish that she didn't have what she has. I wish that she was completely healthy. But let me tell you something. She's not helpless. She's not helpless, and she's not going to sit back and let you attack her husband. My wife and me have a relationship that, I'm going to tell you something, not many people ever get to experience in their life. And that is to love somebody that truly loves you the same amount back. And it is very, very powerful, very potent. Are we perfect? Hell no, we're not perfect. We've had arguments. We have, there's times when I'm like, I better leave her alone because I pissed her off, But I'm thankful in my heart for God that He allowed me to have a person like that in my life that loves me as much as she does. And that I've been able to be blessed for almost 9 years now to love her the way she loves me. And I've never cheated. And I know in my heart, I know that I would never do it. And she's never cheated. And the things that they say about her, and she's just she's a tiny girl. She's not a big person, but she's got a big heart. And the things that they say about her are horrible. And she's had a rough life. And when they heap the derision and the hate, it just, she don't deserve it. Your hatred is with me. You're attacking her because she's defending me. Take your pain and all your anger and your frustration out on me. I can take it. You know why? Because, boy, let me tell you, I've been taking it my whole life. I've been taking it my whole life. I used to take ass whooping after ass whooping after ass whooping from my sisters because they weren't strong enough to take it. They'd break something, I'd just tell them I did it. I remember many times when I would get my ass beat because my dad he had a very bad anger problem, and I'd look over, they'd be crying. So they weren't sociopaths. I mean, they were crying. I looked over and they were crying. And my dad would be like, "What are you laughing? What are you crying about? I'll give you something to cry about, whatever." And on more than one occasion, my mother saved me from my dad's anger. So she wasn't just all bad. There was good in them. I knew that. I just looked like my dad. That was the problem. And my dad, he was just nuts because of, he had a lot going on. I mean, he had a lot going on. He was in that rat race that so many boomers got caught up in, and he was just trying to make money and trying to live. And he was a business manager of a union, and he was always telling me, "Do you know how busy I am? I'm at work all the time, and I'm at work," and and the thing that hurts me, I guess, the most about that is like, my sister, in particular, one of them, not Anthony's mom, but the other one, she's never told me, "Hey, thank you for taking those ass whoopings for me." Not even once. That hurts. It doesn't make me angry. It just hurts because I don't think she cared. But then maybe she did. I don't know, because she would be over there crying when she was watching me get my ass whooped for her sin. But I'm tough. You're not going to destroy me. You're not going to knock me off the air, because we tried leaving for 5.5 weeks and y'all didn't stop. You don't want to end this war. You kept bringing me up. You kept attacking me. You wanted me to die, and that's what you want. And it's not going to happen. Not from you. I mean, it's just, you will learn by the time this is all over what the true definition of tough is. You're all going to learn. Because every single one of us has it in us to be tough. Being tough don't mean that you can dish out punishment. Being tough means you can take it. That's the definition of tough. That's it. So, if this isn't a show that's been, about spooky stuff or whatever, I'm sorry. I apologize. Not your cup of tea. True came on and was talking about all this stuff, and now we end up in this weird dynamic or whatever we're in right here. I apologize. But yeah, I appreciate you, Tony, actually bringing it up and letting me vent and say what I had to say. I just wasn't planning on saying anything about it at all, but
I think you needed to. And I think it's good for other people to hear what you had to say, to share your experience, because a lot of people relate to that, and they'll realize, they're not the only one that it's something like this has happened to. And, they won't feel so alone.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I used to do group therapy. That was the reason we did group therapy, so that other people would see that, that they weren't alone. So sorry if I derailed the program.
No, I actually appreciate you giving a crap enough to bring it up, I mean, but I apologize to everybody else because it segued into, something else, but hopefully we can learn something from this. And the big takeaway from it is that we, like I said, we have each other,
Well, we've examined the spiritual side of things, And believe me, if you don't believe in the spiritual side of things, then you don't really have a grip on Bigfoot.
No. On anything in reality. This is the real reality. You know, and for anybody who's ever been bullied, you know, or mistreated or marginalized in any way, just remember that there is a God above. And he's gotten me through more nights than I can count. There were nights being locked up in different places or just being jostled around different relatives and whatever. My home life, like I said, was shit. I would go to sleep praying. So I felt like it was a big betrayal of Christ when I went down that dark road that I was on for years, being not a good person. And then it's funny because it is a matter of perspective, because then my friend told me, he's like, I always thought you were the moral one, even though you were kind of like, you know, you had to be a certain way. And I was kind of I wasn't no kind of, I was the leader, you know, but I had a morality. And he said that. He said, and Anthony, you're right there in the kitchen. And he says, you had a moral compass that a lot of us didn't have. And we wouldn't have without you. He said that. And my brothers told me that too. Like I was his conscience, and I said, hey, let's not do this, you know. And I would give people chances. But ultimately, people are going to be the way they're going to be. And they just keep on and they keep on and they keep on. And if they don't feel the consequences on their ass, then they just keep doing what they do. You know, that's the unfortunate thing. That is. So I got to run. Tonight I actually don't have to work, thank God. But I do have to get some recording done here. We have some stuff we got to record. And I appreciate everybody coming on. And True, keep doing what you're doing and talking to these people and getting this information, because the stories are very important. I always say everybody has a story, just on how you tell it. Yeah. And I'll see you guys on another night. That's right, Mike. He says this life or the next. You know, and these people, they don't really believe that, though. That's the thing. They don't believe it, because if they did, they would stop. You know, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. You know, that there are times when you're tested. People will test you, and it's up to you whether you pass or fail. It's not up to them. It's not even, they're testing you and they don't even realize it. But what if you people out there that are attacking us, what if we're your test and you're failing? Think of it like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just one way. They could be being tested too, and they're failing big time. And if I lash out in anger and hate, I'm failing too. You know? But anyways, guys, I'm going to run. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you, True, for showing up, and Sailor. And you guys, we'll catch each other again. Okay? You guys come back. All right? Goodbye,
All right.
Sailor.
Good night.
Good night. Tony, thank you again for that. I appreciate it.
I'm just sorry it took me an hour to find you. They had you hid out.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying that they're doing to us, and it's unfortunate. But
Well, I suspected it was something like that.
Well, it's going to get worse for us before it gets better. The truth is it's just going to make it harder and harder.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you know,
we'll overcome.
We will.
Amen.
We're paratroopers. So
You just have to have faith.
Yeah.
And I want to share one other thing before we leave.
Okay.
You know, something that's, I guess, over the last 4 or 5 years, something has become real evident to me. Every time I thought something really bad was happening and going on in my life, if I just wait a little while, if I just be still, be quiet, let a little time pass, suddenly I would realize that what I thought was a terrible situation has actually turned out to be something really good in my favor or in my family's favor. And I think that, you know, people get impatient and they won't. You know, you can go down to McDonald's and get a sawdust burger in less than a minute, probably. You know, but the quality of that burger is not all that good. Good stuff takes a while.
You're right.
And another thing, you know, I feel sorry for these people.
Yeah.
There's people in my family that I pray for. I don't want to be around them, but I pray for them because I don't want them to end up in hell.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you were talking about earlier. You know, when you forgive people, I'm thoroughly convinced it's not for them, it's for you. God wanted you to be unburdened. He didn't want you to carry that hate and corruption around inside your head. And I think, like tonight, you talked about all of this stuff. You let a lot of stuff go.
Mm.
And, you know, getting that off your chest was a good deal for you. And like I said, no telling how many people related to you. And who knows, 5 years from now, somebody might be really down and depressed. They watch a replay of this and what you had to share, you might save somebody's life.
Amen.
That's right.
So, you know, I think what you're doing is a great deal. You know, if I didn't think that you were on the up and up, I certainly wouldn't be supporting you and coming on trying to help you if I can.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I try to be on the up and up, and I'm not perfect. I mean, that's the main thing that everybody needs to understand about each other. It's like
Well,
the
you're
guy said online,
you know, Thorndale, Rockdale. You know, you're from that area where half my family came from.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess I kind of felt a little tied to you that way too.
Yeah.
You know, I told you my grandparents are both on my mom's side are both buried in Taylor.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, most of my family is too, and a lot of them are buried out in Salty.
Yeah.
Between Thorndale and
you may be too young, but there used to be a guy, my aunt worked for him. She ran a motel that he owned, and his name was Carlo. He was kind of a rich guy that owned a bunch of stuff in Taylor. And but he you know, I'm 74, so you're about almost 25 years younger than me. So he's probably gone by the time you know were old enough to know anything. But it was funny. I happened to think about him just the other day, and my aunt working for him, and she had and she owned a cafe at one time in Thorndale, close to that cottonseed plant that was next to the railroad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you go. It's man, it's 12:22. We've been rolling for a while.
Yeah. And I got to record. Because guys, for the 220 people that are still in the chat, every day in October, every day, there's going to be a show. Now, one of those on Tuesday is going to be, you know, the Patreon, and one of them's going to be on the Thursday is going to be get your name in green. That's $5, and you'll have the members only. So, but every other day there's going to be a show. We're going to do a show every Saturday, right, Anthony?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Friday will be interviews. I'm going to be interviewing a guy tomorrow, and we're going to talk because I want people to tell their story in their own words too, you know. And so it's going to be interesting. 31 days straight PRT.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It's going to be great. There's so many stories there's so much to talk about. We have so many, and the way I do it too, and the way I work on it, you know, and sometimes the guys help me with this, but what you're going to hear 2 or 3 weeks down the road, I'm working on it now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so that's how I do it. And sometimes I'll talk to somebody 2 or 3 months down the road, and I'll just put it down in a note, and then it'll be on the computer, and then eventually I'll get to it, and then I'll put it all together. Because there's always threads. There's always connections to this stuff. And I truly love this stuff. This is not a grift for me. This is not a
It's
fraud.
a passion.
This is
for
a
you.
passion for me because I've always been curious. My dad used to say my head was never in the game. He would always say that.
Hmm.
Even though I was a great athlete, but he would tell me, he's like, the only time your head is in the game is when you're actually playing one. He goes, otherwise you're always just walking around thinking about weird stuff. And I would ask weird questions. My dad couldn't answer them. You know, I'd ask about angels and demons and what he thought about God and Christ. And, you know, I just know they exist. That's what he would tell me. But I wanted to know about aliens and where they came from, what they were, and where they went back to, and things like that. I would ask weird questions. And I wanted to know about these kind of things. But
How interesting.
didn't really think much about werewolves until I saw one. You know,
Yeah,
it's like-
tell me about it.
then it became like, okay, this exists, you know. And I really like other cultures. I really do. I mean, you know, and there seems to be this rift now with the right and the left. It's like if you're on the right, you're supposed to just be all about American culture and don't care about all these other people here. But I like talking to them because they have so much to tell you from where they're from.
Hmm.
I do. I like that, you know, and it makes me laugh when these people try to like they try to say all this crap. Oh, he's a racist. He says he hates Mexicans and all something. My mother's Mexican. What are you talking? Like, there's one sitting across from me. Like, you know, I don't even. They're so stupid, and they say these crazy, just ridiculous things that they think up out of their minds. And sometimes I'll laugh, and then I realize I probably shouldn't be laughing because it's damn dangerous. It really is, you know. But I can't help it but laugh, you know. It's so stupid. It's just so. But here at PRT, we got things to do, you know. Tony, thank you for coming on. I'm going to let you run, man. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Later, Tony.
Good night.
All right. And Richard, what do you think? I mean, you've been sitting there all night like Ed Gein.
Well, it's hard when you're constantly being attacked, man, when it's just a constant avalanche of nonsense 24/7, 365, and they've thrown the whole works at you. I can understand the frustrations and I can understand how you guys feel, man. It's unbelievable. It crossed the border of obsession a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, they've accused you guys of felonies for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried to say that
No,
me and Tony broke into some lady's house.
Yeah, that's completely insane.
And then said that they had it on camera, and they were like, okay, produce this footage. They said
She chased you off.
Yeah. And they said there was a police report. You said, okay, produce this police report. Just the thing is, like, we are not in competition with any of you, nor should you see yourself as in competition with us. There's a huge difference in mentalities here. Me, him, the paratroopers here, all of us, if we are wiser men and women tomorrow than we are today, then we're winners. That is how we see it. That's why we're all here. That kind of positive mentality is what brings us together. But see, the way that all the people who despise us and basically just want nothing more than to see us dead, the way they think is I'm in competition with PRT. I'm in competition with Josh Turner. I'm in competition with the paratroopers. If I can be better than them, then I'm a winner. No, you should never derive your self-worth by how you compare to someone else. That's a very negative and unhealthy and self-denigrating thing. You only insult yourself whenever you derive your worth by how you compare to your fellow men and women. No, you are in competition with yourself. Tomorrow, your goal should always be to be wiser tomorrow than you are today. That's what makes you a winner. That's what makes us winners. And we will always be winners.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I look at this whole thing and I just they're and that's the thing. I think everybody should look at it as a whole. I think so much of what is being done and said, not just here with all this crap, but just in the world in general, people need to start looking at things as a whole and taking in the big picture, because there's a big picture here. There's something more at play than just anger and hating some guy that does a show, and they need to really take a look at what is making and driving them to do this.
I don't even think they know, bro.
They don't, because they
They
have all
really
these
don't.
reasons, but none of them are worth two cents. And I can't imagine, like, being ill, okay, and then you get well, and then you go right back to attacking and being whatever, and then you accuse the people that prayed for you and accuse them of putting curses on you for your health, and not taking 1 ounce of personal responsibility. And then that's one of these people. That's just one of them. And they all have these weird ideas, and what they do is they reinforce them with one another. And they go around saying the most ridiculous things. And I just can't, I don't it is hard though. It doesn't, like, I'm not like worried about it, but it's spooky because you don't know how they're very unhinged.
I couldn't imagine being this obsessed with another human being. It's freaking weird.
Yeah, I can't. And you it sucks that people hate you that bad, but this isn't new for me. I mean, I've been hated in every field I've been in, and I'm going to be honest, a lot of it had to do with my success. I was very successful in the security business, and I have haters. There's people out there that despise us. There were people that were, this is what they did to us. They went to where we used to keep our cars. Now, you remember this, Anthony? This was about 15 years ago. God, it's so long I've been doing this. And they threw roofing nails.
Yeah.
And they popped all the tires on our patrol cars. So we had to go and get all of our personal vehicles and go out and get it done. We did it. Then the next day, it cost us $2,000 in tires. That's 15 years ago. It's a lot of money. They turned us in for every little infraction that they could come up with. And, we ended up getting, messed with and whatever. And then the state said, okay, you're clean, whatever. And they told lie after lie after lie. And when the state came and audited us, they were like, damn, you keep really good, you do a good job. That was it. They said, I wish everybody else was like this, and the people that did this, they came to a bad end themselves. It doesn't work out for you in the end. I just don't understand it. And in the club business, it was so dirty. I mean, it was just grimy, dirty, bad. And you deal with some of the biggest scum of the earth people. And every field I've been in, it's just been, but this is crazy too. I mean, I can't even say this is the worst because it's not, but this is bad. I mean, these people are really bad. Like, and they're not pulling up the reins and the horse and saying, hey, I'm about to go over the cliff and I'm going to end up in the abyss. No, they just keep galloping right towards it, and they just keep pointing the finger at you, and you're going like, you don't see that cliff? I don't understand it. And I've tried, reaching out to this one guy, and he's a friend of mine, and he said something in the group, and so this other guy, he takes that, me trying to reach out and make peace, and he mocks it and makes all these crazy demands. When I had tried to get that same guy to try to make peace, with these other crazy people, and he was shocked at their demands, and now he's over there doing the same thing. And I'm going like, do you not see the similarities? Like, I've been trying to stop these people to to just leave us alone. The only thing we want is to be left alone. Like, I don't want this. Like, who in the heck would want to live like this? Nobody that has a half a brain cell would want to wake up every day. And I'll be honest with you, Dick. I wake up, and the first thing I got to do, first thing I do is say my morning prayer, just mine solo prayer. And this isn't me going like, I'm so holy. No, it's just what you should do. That's just what you're supposed to do before you hit the ground. And then I do what I got to do, and I get on after, cleaning your mouth and your body and whatever you got to do. Then you go and you start your day. And that consists of a lot of stuff, and I have to talk to a lot of people. And I just can't imagine like what these people do, because I don't think about them at all unless I see something that somebody's posted and ends up in that group, whatever, the PRT thing. It doesn't come up in my mind. I promise you, I don't think about these people. And Dick, we've had conversations and these people don't come up.
No, never once.
We don't talk about these people. What is there to say? And I'll talk to colleagues, and they'll, we have some deals or something going on, and there's a couple people recently who've asked me, and they're very, I guess, well-known people in the community. And they said, what's going on with these people, And I've downplayed it to a degree. And then this last time around, one of my good friends, he's an author, and he asked me, and I told him, I said, don't, if you say, because he's like, you want me to, I said, no, absolutely not. I said, they will jump all over you. And they will just, and he doesn't realize, he doesn't get it. And he doesn't need to get it because he'll get it. That's what, And I told him, I said, you have to understand something. Don't say anything with these people because you don't want their derangement on you. Because if you say something publicly, they may say something, may not. But if they do, then you'll become an obsession of theirs temporarily. And they're vile, the things that they do and say. And so I just told him, and I didn't exaggerate and I didn't lie. I just told him, and I said, here are the screenshots. Just take a look. And they always say the same thing. They're like, holy crap, oh my God. You're like, what is this? Yeah. And, you could write a mini series drama based on what these people are doing.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I've never seen somebody live rent free in so many people's heads.
Yeah.
It's truly astounding.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's
and they
literally
attacked
crazy.
you when you didn't even say anything about them.
Does that offer still stand about washing truffles, though?
Truffles is living out at the ranch. He's living his best life. He's hanging out with D. And I'm
Nice.
sure D's overfeeding him. But I was out there with him earlier, and he's happy. He's just there. He saw me, and he jumped up and ran over there because he, So I petted him and messed with him a little bit. And when I was trying to do what I was trying to do, he kept, he's real gentle. Like, he doesn't mess with you. He don't attack you. But he kept bumping me with his nose. And he does that little thing with his nose going up and down. He's like, so he wanted my attention, but so he wanted me to scratch him, because Truffles used to hang out with me in the study all the time. He was just always with me. He would, because everybody was asleep. And so I'd be up 4 or 5 hours early, doing the work, and dealing with clients and whatever. And here most recently, and Anthony, you thought that story was pretty funny. There's a lady that has a pig too named Colby. And Colby is a female. I know it sounds like a male's name, but I was like, oh, Colby, that's cool. How did you name him that? She goes, no, it's a female. Because when they first got her, she was a little bitty thing, whatever. And her son, who is a child, named him, thought it was a boy and kept calling her Colby. And so that just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Colby FaceTime Truffles. And it was funny because the pigs are smart. They're very smart animals. And Truffles recognized that it was another pig, and he kept, going up to the phone, and the other pig was doing the same thing. They were looking at each other. And so I wanted to get my wife's tablet. She was asleep, but I wanted to get her tablet, a bigger, so they could see each other a little better, So I told her, I said, I want to try to maybe, get Truffles and Colby on the big screen so they can, they could look at each other. But it was interesting. She was giving me some pretty scary stuff for the show. And how big is Truffles now? Randy asks. How big is he? About 100 pounds?
Yeah. 90, 100 pounds.
Yeah. He's about 90 to 100 pounds. Hey, man, some pigs get huge.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
he's not a big, giant pig. He's just, but he's a good dude, man. He just wants his, he loves fruit.
Yeah.
He likes fruit.
And vegetables,
but he hates
onions,
raw onions and bell peppers. He will not eat a bell pepper. We've tried to trick him into eating a bell pepper. He'll go all the way around it.
Chops.
Oh, don't say that. No, I would never, trick him into eating his. That's, I wouldn't do that. That's terrible.
No,
we try to get him to eat some. Are you, Ed Gein? Are you joking? No.
They don't call me the Plainsfield Ghoul for nothing.
The Plainsfield Ghoul. No, he has his certain snacks. He has one little toy that he likes a lot. So we put nuggets in there, like little pieces of food, and he'll roll it around all day with the little food squirts out of it, and he'll eat that. But he's out at the ranch. I miss him. I wish he was with us. They like to attack him too. They're always talking shit about him. That's where that thing came from with you. There's he'll be washing the pig or whatever. The guy that he's kind of obsessed with Truffles. He talks about him all the time, hating him and talking shit. And I'm just like,
Imagine being such a petty loser you had to insult somebody's pet.
Well, and the thing is, like, he likes to talk like he's a tough guy. Like he's somebody was telling me that he was on his live stream talking about, hey, you better not be a person out there or something. And I was like, what? I can't verify that because I don't watch him. So I don't know if that's what, but if that's what he said, then give me a freaking break.
That's so corny.
Because, so he probably thinks of a pig as just, you go all kill it and eat it. That's probably what he thinks. And he's probably got worms from it in his brain.
Yeah, guaranteed. Feeding it with all that Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, no, and that's the other guy, the Coca-Cola, the cosplayer of the LBL. He drinks the Coca-Cola, and then blames us when he goes into a diabetic whatever.
700 grams a day.
Horrible. That's crazy. So, paratroopers, if you could hit the like button and leave a comment, it would help the channel. We need people to. We get lots of comments and likes already, but maybe we got more. Maybe they would let us, be found at least. And then join the Facebook group and to get notifications. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. Join all of them and keep up to date with what's going on. Some people will post stories and links to other people's shows and stuff with all kinds of great, interesting content and weird stories and things. Nellie does that a lot. She posts in the Paranormal Roundtable Facebook page where you can read all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, her posts are good. I like her posts, especially in the health one.
Oh yeah. If it says to be left alone is what everyone wants, is to be left alone and deal with the day. Yeah, exactly. We got a lot to deal with, and we don't have time to be dealing with these people. Yeah. So, anyways, thank you to everybody for tuning in. I'm going to jump off now. I got to go, guys. I got to get recording here. Thank you to everybody who donated and became members. And thank you to Brenda from Beyond the Box for gifting 5 people members. Those are 5 people now that can go and watch the members only on Thursday. But ultimately, I think most of our content is just going to go behind the paywall because, and it's not even a money thing at this point. We don't get a lot in donations anymore. But it just, we have to, because it will save us a lot of heartache, because I'm pretty sure these people aren't going to pay to stalk us. So we're just going to probably end up having two. The Sunday and Monday show will probably be just those two will be, available, and everything
Probably
else
for the
will be,
best.
yeah, it'll be behind the paywall. Unfortunately, we just can't. These people won't stop, and they're not going to. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys. Good night.
Thanks, guys. God bless.
As I travel this life alone, two paths both unknown. For what already has this life shown. The first step I diverge from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. Less traveled, dark and cold. I came upon a fork in the road. I pondered, both mind free. The fall had come, for yellow is the autumn tree. Both I long to travel, for I'm but one. I could not see, for both were bent, the overgrowth and canopy. Where will destiny lead me? The first step I diverged from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. I began my journey on the road less traveled. Regret haunts me at times, looking back wondering where the other path myself would find. But both paths are traveled equally, for many take the zombie road to normalcy, and others seek individuality. From the wear on the trail it appears 50-50. With every footstep came pitfalls and risks, rewards and opportunities. Looking back, what did I really miss? The first step I diverged from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say.